get it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Well, good afternoon and a very warm welcome to a special Football Live powered by NairaBet, bringing you the best of the football action across Europe in not one, but two parts this afternoon. And we start with the early afternoon games featuring a West London derby between Chelsea and Fulham. An intriguing trip for Championship League leaders Leicester City as they go to Coventry. And we'll also bring you all the action from the Liga as Las Palmas host Villarreal. Later on, we'll return to the Premier League with Newcastle versus Manchester City. And then the Bundesliga serves up Darmstadt versus Borussia Dortmund. Well, let's head straight to Stamford Bridge to see if Mauricio Pochettino can register a third consecutive Premier League win for the first time in charge of Chelsea this season. It's fair to say they couldn't have asked for more hospitable opponents, as Fulham, who haven't won at Chelsea since 1979, also have the third worst away record in the Premier League this season. I'm delighted to welcome senior Football Live reporter Billy Andrews, who can bring us up to speed with the latest team news ahead of kick-off in West London. Good afternoon, Billy.
Good afternoon, Dean. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a wet and windy Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea have made just one change from the side that slumped to defeat at Middlesbrough in the week. Armando Broja leads the line and Cole Palmer reverts back to his wing position. The other big news is that Ben Chilwell and Carney Chukwuemeka are both back among the subs after lengthy absences. The full team news for Chelsea: it remains Petrovic in goal with Gusto, Disasi, Thiago Silva and Levi Colwill in a back four. Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo, Conor Gallagher in a three. Cole Palmer, Armando Broja and Raheem Sterling in the front three. There's also a place on the bench for young Alfie Gilchrist. Well, for Fulham, of course, they are missing Alex Iwobi and Calvin Bassey, of course, both in the Nigeria squad. But it's just the one change for Fulham as Tom Cairney replaces Harrison Reed. Kenny Tete over Timothy Castagna and Harry Wilson ahead of Bobby De Cordova-Reid. The game has just kicked off. So any chances, any goals, live from Stamford Bridge.
Perfect, Billy. And how big a game is this for Chelsea? They keep having this sort of stop-start to their season. They get a couple of victories and then they lose a couple. When was the pressure going to start to tell them Mauricio Pochettino, do you think?
Well, there have been reports that Todd Bowley and the likes are looking to dip more into that seemingly endless money pit that they've got to spend even more money on even more players. It's worth remembering, of course, we still really haven't seen Christopher Nkunku injured again. Poch doesn't know when he's going to be back, but they are 10th in the league, Chelsea. And with the money they've spent, with the players they've got and the manager they've got in place now, I think it won't be too long before some pressure starts to build. They are 1.67 on NairaBet for the win. Fulham are 5.00. And if you fancy a little bit of a bet on first goal scorer, Willian, former Chelsea man now at Fulham, is 13.00 to score first. But it's still 0-0 at Stamford Bridge.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Billy. I'm sure we'll be back to you very, very shortly with goals as they go in at Stamford Bridge. Well, next up, let's see how Championship pace setters Leicester City have started away at the Coventry Building Society Arena. Incredibly, Leicester City could stretch their lead at the top to 13 points over nearest rivals Ipswich Town with victory in this early afternoon kickoff, which won't be easy against a in-form Coventry team. Reporting from the Midlands, I'm delighted to welcome Patrick Norett. Hello and welcome to the show, Patrick.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. And I tell you what, yeah, you are right. They got 37 points less. They got 57 points less. They're running away with it, like you said. And if they do win this one, they're going to be like 13 points ahead. As for Coventry, they're currently 8th in the Championship. And they're not going to be easy to beat. But the Leicester City side, to be honest with you, they've got mostly players from came down from the Premiership. I think going to get back up with 3 minutes played. Still Coventry 0, Leicester 0.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Patrick. Bring us up to date with the latest in the Championship. I can tell you in the Asian Cup, it's half-time in the game between Australia and India. Goalless heading into the break in that one. And in the Turkish Super League, both games finished. Ankaraguchi 3, Kasimpasa 1 is a full-time score. It was actually the visitors that took the lead in the first half. Kara getting the goal there, but just on the stroke of half-time, Mujakic with the equaliser before Bajic and Pedrino sealed the victory for the home side. Also in the Turkish Superliga, Hatayspor 1, Pedikspor 1 was a full-time score. Pedikspor with a late equaliser in the 4th minute of stoppage time. Kapil was the man at the right place at the right time to head home to get the equaliser for the visitors after Rivas had earlier opened the scoring just after the restart. So 1-1 in that game. Of course, yesterday, last night, we had a big game in the Premier League, but we'll just hold off on that one as we'll go back to Stamford Bridge and an early chance for Chelsea, Billy Andrews.
Yeah, there was a free kick on this left-hand side, a foul by Kenny Tete on Raheem Sterling. A little bit of ankle problems for Raheem Sterling. Did just limp away, so one to keep an eye on for me this afternoon. But the free kick was whipped in by Cole Palmer, an outswinger headed clear by Issa Diop, and Chelsea have had a lot of possession of the ball. Fulham haven't really been able to stamp their authority on this game yet, but we're just over 5 minutes in and it's still 0-0 at Stamford Bridge.
How have these two teams settled, Billy? Just considering, of course, big cup semi-final games. These two teams could meet in the final if they overturn their respective defeats in the first leg. How have either teams settled? Do you think there's one eye on that competition, or is it pretty focused on Premier League here this afternoon?
I think possibly Chelsea, it's their biggest chance for some silverware this season. They are only 1 goal down away at Middlesbrough. I think Cole Palmer did miss 3 or 4 golden opportunities in that game at the Riverside. But Fulham, they took the lead against Liverpool before those 2 quick goals put them 2-1 down. I think there's a big second leg for both these sides coming up. Chelsea look the more confident of the two at the moment. Fulham a little bit tentative, a little bit jittery. They're giving the ball away quite cheaply, I think. And they're going to need to settle. Marco Silva's going to have to get something across to his players to try and settle them down and get them playing the fantastic football we know they can play.
Indeed. Oh, thank you very much, Billy. We'll be back to Stamford Bridge very, very shortly. It's time to head back to the Midlands. And there's been an early chance, but not for the visitors, but for the host, Patrick Norrit.
Yeah, it was. Leicester was attacking. He broke down from a counter-attack. Palmer took the ball, went all the way through the midfield, gave it to Gordon. Gordon took a shot, and the goalkeeper saved it. We've 5 gone still. Coventry 0, Leicester 0.
And straight back to Stamford Bridge and another chance for Chelsea, Billy Andrews.
It's down this left-hand side again, and it's Raheem Sterling pulling the strings. He's got the better of Kenny Tete a few times already in the opening 10 minutes or so. He pulled it back to Conor Gallagher, but he just had it taken off of his feet by Issa Diop, and it was cleared out. A little bit of a knock to Enzo Fernandez as well. He's walking a bit gingerly on that ankle, so that's the last thing Pochettino needs, is any more injuries to this Chelsea squad. They're already pretty paper thin when it comes to that, but they have got a couple players back. Enzo Fernandez, the big money move, yet to really stamp his authority on any game. Fulham now on the attack. They have a throw-in down in the corner flag.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Billy Andrews. Well, we spoke during that previous exchange with Billy Andrews about the Carabao Cup semi-final first legs. Of course, defeat for Chelsea away at Middlesbrough. There's some interesting comments that I'll bring to you momentarily. But here's what he had to say on that loss up in the northeast.
Yes, of course. I think I saw the player today really good and a very good spirit. Of course, disappointed with the last game, but the first 90 minutes that we are losing 1-0, and then in 10, 12 days we are going to play the second leg. Yes, disappointed, but at the same time, I think, yes, too many things happen around after the game, because, of course, we are Chelsea and we cannot afford to lose this type of game. But that is football, and yes, we made too many good things, but on the end, normally, we got the criticize, but it's good. Sometimes we can learn with the criticize and being tough. We need to feel the pressure because we need to grow, and not only with good things you improve.
Well, they will certainly need to improve if they're to overturn that 1-goal deficit, but they still remain heavy favourites to get through to the final, where they play either today's opponents, Fulham or Liverpool, in the final. Liverpool, of course, holding a 2-1 victory from the first leg, but the second leg in West London will certainly be intriguing there as well. One of the interesting things to come about from that is in a separate interview he did later for the papers. It was called upon about the defeats in the Northeast, and he explained that one of his own players, Moises Caicedo, had mentioned about how tough it was to play in the Northeast and how he had suffered defeats against Middlesbrough whilst he was playing for Brighton Hove Albion, except that his Brighton team, which Moises Caicedo played the 90 minutes for, won that FA Cup tie by 5-1. So I'm not quite sure Caicedo's memory is something that Pochettino should be relying on, but hopefully he can remember what he needs to do on the pitch here this afternoon, certainly if you're of the blue persuasion in West London. Let's get some team news from our featured game in La Liga, the game between Las Palmas and Villarreal. Las Palmas have settled into the league very well this season, and 2 defeats in the last 2 games, but tight defeats to Barcelona and Atletico Bilbao respectively. They may well be considered favourites as they host Villarreal, who are a few places below them in the league table. I'm delighted to welcome Mark Andrews with us to Football Live, who'll bring us up to date with the latest team news ahead of kickoff. Good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon to you, Dean. Warm welcome from Gran Canaria in Canary Islands here for Las Palmas against Villarreal. Palmas currently in 10th place, as you mentioned, 25 points, while the visitors, Villarreal, today are 3 places lower and just 19th. They've got slightly the better form going into this match, and manager Garcia Pimienta makes 2 changes from the side that lost 2-1 to Barcelona last time around. Out go Rubina and Munir, in come Haddadi and Juana Herzog. Meanwhile, Villarreal, they make 3 changes. Out go Abriel, Capoui and Terrat. In come ex-Manchester United player Eric Bailey, Sandy Comasana and Alexandro Bueno. Should be a tight game here, but we're looking forward to a very contested match.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much. Just to say Mark Thomas, not Mark Andrews. Apologies there, Mark. Kick-off in just under 20 minutes' time in that game. Let's head back to Stamford Bridge to see how Fulham have responded. Chelsea enjoying the early possession. A couple of half chances to get us underway. How have the visitors responded, Billy?
Well, they just had a good run down their left-hand side. It was Andreas Pereira up against Gusto, but he just got crowded out when he passed the ball to Willian, and Willian just got crowded out, tried to play the ball back and just played it into the path of Conor Gallagher. But Chelsea really are the commanding force in this game at the moment. No clear-cut chances for either side yet, but Chelsea keeping the ball, playing some nice possession. A lovely back heel from Raheem Sterling. He really is running that left-hand side for Chelsea up against Kenny Tete. He's got a lovely partnership building with Levi Colwill, despite the fact that Colwill said this week that his preferred position is a centre-back, and we'll see the best of it when we see him. But still, 0-0 as Enzo Fernandez had a shot blocked by Issa Diop. So still 0-0 at Stamford Bridge.
So, Billy, do you think lack of striker for Chelsea, you think all of the big money they've spent over the last couple of seasons, they're still missing that out-and-out striker? Do you think there's any chance of them bringing someone in? And if so, who?
Well, Manchester United have found that it's difficult to buy a striker. We've seen the problems that Rasmus Højlund has had settling into life in the Premier League. And Arsenal were another one that are missing a genuine number 9. Victor Osimhen is one that's constantly linked with a move to Chelsea and to the likes of Arsenal and even Manchester United at one point. But he signed that new contract with Napoli, so he won't be going anywhere in January. Strikers are hard to come by in January, possibly a loan move for somebody. But you look at the likes of Simeone at Napoli, he's reportedly unhappy with his lack of game time. Dusan Vlahovic from Juve is constantly egging for a move away. So there are some options out there. It's just whether Chelsea can, well, we know they have the money. It's just whether they can get a player to want to join a Chelsea side that's seemingly going nowhere at the moment.
Indeed. Well, time will tell. Still goalless at Stamford Bridge. Thank you, Billy. As I can bring you, there's been a goal in the Asian Cup between Australia and India, and it's Australia have taken the lead 5 minutes after the restart. Jackson Irvine has scored the goal that's given the home side the lead in that one. So Australia 1, India 0, a latest score in the Asian Cup, as Chelsea very much on the front foot and had a golden opportunity maybe to take the lead at Stamford Bridge moments ago. We'll bring you all the goals as they happen in our featured games on Football Live, of course. That's what you're listening to, the goals on Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Take Brila anywhere, everywhere.
Yes, you can take Brila with you anywhere, everywhere.
The Brila app is available for free download. Available for download on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
Tomorrow on Football Live, exclusive to Brila FM. Alex Guildford will take over as Football Live focuses on Old Trafford, where Manchester United take on Tottenham Hotspur. The Bundesliga is back too. Stuttgart go to Gladbach. And of course, it's AFCON, so we'll be right across the later kickoff between Mozambique and Egypt. There really is no football coverage quite like it. Join us tomorrow afternoon for a mouth-watering selection of top football action, live and exclusive on Brila FM, right here on Football Live.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
Join Corner Corner where the big boys play.
Place 10 bets, get one free. You can earn an unlimited number of free bets with NairaBet. No matter which game you're watching right now, feel the thrill with our live match special. For every 10 in-play bets placed, you will receive a 5,000 Naira free bet. Log in to www.nairabet.com. Click on the Live tab. Place 10 in-play bets on different games. Then the free bet is yours. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18. Minimum stake of 5,000 Naira per live bet. Minimum odds of 1.2 per live bet. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly. Let's get back to the action on Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
And let's get straight back to Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea have had a couple of opportunities to take the lead, Billy Andrews.
It was almost champagne football from Chelsea. This first chance that they had, it was Kenny Tete bringing it out from the back down this near hand side. It was one back by Enzo Fernandez. He flicked it round the corner to Caicedo. Caicedo back to Fernandez. Fernandez into Raheem Sterling and just couldn't find Armando Broja with the pullback, cleared by Issa Diop, but then it came straight back at Fulham via Enzo Fernandez again. He found Cole Palmer. Palmer found the captain, Conor Gallagher, whose shot was just over the crossbar. So pressure building for Chelsea. Fulham hanging on just, and we were talking about strikers for Chelsea. Had a look at the man leading the line today, Armando Broja. He's only got one Premier League goal in 12 appearances this season, so it's another top team in the Premier League struggling with a striker that can't seem to find the back of the net. But Fulham now on the attack, but still at Stamford Bridge, 0-0.
Indeed, I'm not sure Broja is the answer for Chelsea's goal-scoring ways. Maybe they should have turned to Timo Werner, a man who, of course, has rejoined the Premier League in the form of their London rivals Tottenham Hotspur, albeit on loan for the remainder of this season. Chelsea currently 3 shots to Fulham's 0. No shots on target as yet. Chelsea with 72% possession, just to prove their dominance in the early 15 minutes or so of that game. I also just saw an interesting graphic that Chelsea have produced the second most amount of expected goals, the old XG, this season, just behind Liverpool this season. However, the conversion of those chances leaves a lot to be desired. Let's head back to the Midlands. Coventry versus Leicester City. No chances to speak of, Patrick, but a problem with the spray?
Yeah, quite a problem with spray, actually. What happened was it came up the holders, the referees, got it around their waist, fell on the ground. A player stepped on it, and then the visible spray was everywhere. So the game had to be stopped for about 30 seconds for him to get a new spray. But at the moment, the game has settled down, except for Coventry are getting in the final third. Every time they break Leicester down on a counter, they're getting in the final third, but that finish is not there yet. With 17 gone, it is still Coventry 0, Leicester 0.
I can imagine the mound. I've got the vision of mounds of that spray being out there and potentially making some little snowmen. It's certainly cold enough anyway in the Midlands at the moment. News of an injury at Stamford Bridge for the visitors, Billy Andrews.
It's Harry Wilson who went down holding his ankle. He did sort of just collide with Levi Colwell after a rare foray from Fulham into the Chelsea box, but the ball was put out. The medical staff came on and gave him a check, but he's up now and he's seemingly okay to carry on. A few knocks to the ankle this afternoon at Stamford Bridge already, but still just under 20 minutes gone. Still 0-0, and Harry Wilson carrying on for now.
And Harry Wilson, it's an interesting player. It's never really kicked on. Former Liverpool youngster, of course, had spells at Bournemouth and Fulham. Score of wonderful goals on his day, but he's often second fiddle to Bobby De Cordova-Reid in this Fulham side. He'll be hoping that he can forge his place permanently in the starting 11. And yes, he's back on the pitch and moving rather freely right now. Still Chelsea 0, Fulham 0. As it is, Coventry City 0, Leicester City 0 in our two featured games that have kicked off in this early portion of Football Live this afternoon. I can tell you it's still Australia 1, India 0, just about to approach the hour mark in the Asia Cup. And coming up very, very shortly, kick-off in La Liga, Las Palmas versus Villarreal. Let's just recap yesterday's Premier League game between Luton Town and Burnley, or I should say Burnley and Luton Town. Very controversial end to that game. Amdouni had given Burnley the lead 10 minutes before half-time with a well-worked Burnley goal. Burnley were full value for that lead going into injury time when Clinton Morris headed into an unguarded net. Vincent Kompany branded the decision a joke to allow that equaliser as Burnley goalkeeper James Trafford was clearly blocked off by Luton striker Elijah Adebayo. And it's one of those where the keepers normally get protection. They go to ground, a free kick given every single time. Not on this occasion. And what was more frustrating for Vincent Kompany was the decision that VAR had a look at it and agreed with the referee, which is something that doesn't often happen either. So Kompany felt that he was that his team were very, very unfairly punished with that decision, a decision that sort of furthers neither side's cause in their fights against relegation in the Premier League. They both sit in the bottom three as things stand following that draw last night. A big point, though, for Luton Town. Man of the match was Ross Barkley, who did have a great shot earlier on in the first half to have given the visitors the lead in that one. But a share of the spoils, a point apiece, and that's how it ended. Let's go back to Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea creating chances, but no cutting edge, Billy Andrews.
Well, this was a golden opportunity, the best chance of the game so far for Chelsea, and it was Armando Broja's header that went about a foot wide of Bernd Leno's goal. But it's Raheem Sterling and Enzo Fernandez pulling strings again for Chelsea down this left-hand side. They work it between themselves. Sterling back to Fernandez, a lovely cross by Fernandez, and Armando Broja with a header, well, with all the composure you would say, of a man with 1 goal in 12 Premier League appearances as a striker for Chelsea this season. Golden opportunity. You would like to think he would have at least got it on target, but that's been the story of Chelsea's season so far. Just over 22 minutes gone. Still 0-0 at Stamford Bridge.
Still goalless at Stamford Bridge. Notoriously, those lunchtime kickoffs in the Premier League have been low scoring. That is apart from the game that featured Chelsea a couple of weeks ago, that thrilling game against Luton Town that could have ended up about 6-0, but Chelsea came away with all 3 points on that game a few weeks ago. Chelsea just playing the ball around at the moment, and unforced errors, just kick the ball straight out of play. Gusto just kick the ball straight out of play. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Yes, so we're speaking about this game, speaking mostly about Chelsea. We shouldn't forget the visitors, Marco Silva and his Fulham side, who have earned praise for the way their side play football. They are in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. And he spoke about the challenge of going to Stamford Bridge and trying to get victory for his away side. It would be Fulham's first victory at Stamford Bridge since 1979. Here's what Marco Silva had to say.
But you have always one or two more special for the fans, and at the end we play for the fans, and we know always important for them some certain type of games, and this one is one of these games. First months of the season we had a chance to play with them at home. Wasn't our best game, and the way we play, of course, you want to do something different against a very good side. But of course they have the quality, big squad in terms of numbers, high quality, individual quality in my opinion too, that they can decide a game in any moment of the match as well, apart from their collective idea as well. And of course we have to be at very, very good level, because in my opinion it's going to be an intense game. It's going to be a derby. It's always a lot of challenge, a lot of situations that is going to demand from ourselves to be at our best level. Yeah.
Marco Silva there, just really pointing out what a challenge it is to take on this Chelsea side, even a Chelsea side that are struggling in the table, but they do have quality. It's just whether they can produce the finishing touch on the pitch. Still goalless as it stands. Chelsea with 28 points from their 20 games, sitting in 10th place in the table. Fulham just 4 points below them, I should say, with 24 points from their opening 20 games, sitting in 13th in the table. Victory for them would see them climb just below Chelsea in the table. Wolves would be between them should the visitors come up with a shock victory in that game. Let's head back to the game in the Championship featuring Coventry City and Leicester City. But it's the away side that are struggling. The home side creating the chances, Patrick.
Yes, it is. And what's happening is they're getting caught on the break all the time, Leicester. Every time they go forward, they overload. Leicester win the ball. Coventry win the ball, and it seems so easy for them to work the ball to the final third. They just worked the ball there and took a shot. O'Hara took a shot and just missed the target. At the moment, with 25 gone, it is still Coventry 0, Leicester 0.
It's still 0-0 in that game, and still goalless at Stamford Bridge. Just a report coming in from the CIES Football Observatory. They're a research group within the International Centre for Sports Studies, and they produce a yearly list of the most valuable players in world football. Well, you might not be surprised to learn that Real Madrid midfielder Jude Bellingham is found to have the highest transfer fee or transfer value on the planet right now. According to the CIES figures, Bellingham is now worth a staggering €267.5 million. He's one of 3 Real Madrid players that are in the top 4. Brazilians Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo are 3rd and 4th respectively, with values of €250 million and €247 million respectively. It's a man from the Premier League that is second in the list, and that man scored 50 goals in 2023, and that man is Erling Haaland, who is valued second with £251.2 million. Elsewhere, players that are featured in the Premier League: Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden, Julian Alvarez, Musiala, Martin Odegaard. They're the other players that feature in the top 10. Let's go back to Stamford Bridge, where Fulham have had their first chance of the afternoon.
Finally, a bit of fight from Fulham. It was one back off Axel Disasi by Harry Wilson. He poked it forward to Andreas Pereira, but the former United midfielder could only hit a tame shot, really, towards Petrovic's goal. Well saved down to his right-hand side. But a first shot on target for Fulham. First shot on target in the game as well. So they can offer something going forward, but they are struggling to get Raul Jimenez involved at all. I think I can count on one hand the amount of times he's touched the ball. But Fulham, they're growing into this game slowly after withstanding a lot of Chelsea pressure. As a fantastic save from Petrovic there. The ball was played across by Willian, right across the middle of the Chelsea box. And Harry Wilson was there at the back post to just tap it towards goal, but Petrovic flung himself at it, and Chelsea now will have a goal kick. So Fulham finding some form and finding their feet in this game now, but it's still 0-0 at Stamford Bridge.
What a chance that was as well, and what a save, flying threw himself across the face of goal to keep that out of this near post. So Chelsea started the game stronger, but it's Fulham who've had the better chances in this one in the early stages. Chelsea 0, Fulham 0 in the English Premier League. It's Coventry City 0, Leicester City 0 in the English Championship. In the Asia Cup, it's Australia 1, India 0, a latest score. And coming up just about to kick off in La Liga is Las Palmas versus Villarreal. You are listening to Football Live. Welcome back to Football Live. Here we are, bringing you all the action as it happens across Europe and across the footballing world. Later on, we've got a feast of games coming up for you as we'll bring you Newcastle United versus Manchester City. We'll bring you all the reaction from the afternoon, the 4 o'clock kickoffs in the English Championship, as well as goal updates from Ipswich against Sunderland. Ipswich currently second in the table, as well as action in the Bundesliga. We'll bring you all of the goals, all of the results from the early afternoon games, as well as full coverage from Darmstadt versus Borussia Dortmund. Straight back to Stamford Bridge, where Fulham were just starting to get into it, but back come Chelsea, Billy Andrews.
Well, shots on target seem to be like London buses in a London derby. I waited about 25 minutes for one, and I've had 3 in a matter of moments. This time it was for Chelsea. It was Cole Palmer with a rather tame effort towards Burnley, who gathered easily, and Fulham were on their way again. They've lost it again now, though, but it was Enzo Fernandez causing problems again. He flew in to win the ball off of João Paulinho. That ball fell to Caicedo. Caicedo played it to Cole Palmer, and Cole Palmer's left-footed shot just into the arms of Burnley. But Chelsea now back on the ball, starting to re-stamp their authority after that brief period of possession by Fulham. But still, as we approach the half-hour mark, 0-0 at Stamford Bridge.
It's 0-0 at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea with 6 shots, 1 on target. Fulham, 2 shots, both on target. It's just the 57% possession for Chelsea as we approach the half-hour mark at Stamford Bridge. Let's head to the Midlands and the Championship. Coventry City versus Leicester City. But it's the league leaders who are struggling to hold on, Patrick.
Yeah, it's just that they every time Leicester go forward, Coventry break on them, and this time it was a long ball over the top. They're trying to play offside, and it had to be a stupid keeper. And 1v1 with the keeper, the super got it there, O'Hara got in. But I tell you what, with 30 gone, Coventry must score sooner or later, because I think, if they don't put their chances away, it can come back and hurt them. With 30 gone, it's still Coventry 0, Leicester 0.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Patrick. Let's get the latest odds powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, good afternoon everyone, and the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. Just start with the Premier League game, 31 minutes gone, still Chelsea 0, Fulham 0. Chelsea are 1.70 for the win. The draw is 3.50, and Fulham away win is 6.0. Coventry against Leicester, which we concentrate on as well, still 0-0. Coventry at home at 3.0. The draw is 3.0 as well, and Leicester away win is 2.60. The game that's starting very, very shortly, and that is Las Palmas against Villarreal. The odds are more or less evens, to be fair. Las Palmas and Villarreal, they're both on 2.62 to win, and the draw is 3.50. If we look just a bit further down inside the Chelsea Fulham game, if you're looking for goals, if you think it's going to over 2.5 goals, it's 2.60. If you think it's going to be over 3.5 goals, it's 5.0. If we have a look at some of the players who are playing today, and if you fancy any of them to score first, well, Cole Palmer is on 6.50 at the moment. If you're looking also for someone like Willian, who actually spoke about earlier, he's 15.0. And if you look at any score lines, which some people would like to do, if you think Chelsea are going to win 2-1, they're 9.0. 3-0, the Chelsea are 12.0. And if you think Fulham will win 2-0, they're 29.0. And if you think Fulham will win 1-0, they are 10.0. All these prices are from NairaBet, and they're all subject to change.
Great stuff. Thank you. As always, John, the latest odds powered by NairaBet here on Football Live. Let's go back to Stamford Bridge. Chelsea taking on Fulham. We've had 3 shots on target in quick succession. Game just settled down a bit now, Billy?
It had done, but now Fulham have got their foot back on the gas and they've won the ball back and just trying to build some possession, but they're not really progressing with it. They're sort of passing it amongst themselves, but not getting out of their own half. Kenny Tete is having a horrid time up against Raheem Sterling. He's just giving the ball away to Levi Colwill. But just going back to Cole Palmer, I've had a look and under 21 goal involvements in the top 5 European leagues. Nico Williams and Xavi Simons have 11. Cole Palmer is tied for second with 12 with Florian Wirtz. And it's that man, Jude Bellingham, with 15 leading the way. So he can score and assist. He's shown it that he can. He's up with the elite of the under-21s in Europe's top 5 leagues, Cole Palmer. Maybe he could be the one to, I don't know, like the touch paper for this Chelsea side. Just can't find that final pass. It's that final pass in the final third for Chelsea that's letting them down. But 35 minutes gone, still 0-0.
Thank you very much, Billy. Of course, Cole Palmer in the news earlier in the week, speaking in an interview that he didn't actually really want to leave Manchester City. He wanted to go out on a year's loan and then come back and force his way into the side. That decision was taken away from him by Pep Guardiola. He's ended up at Stamford Bridge, and you do kind of feel that Chelsea need to build their team around him. Plenty of question marks, of course, surrounding Conor Gallagher, their captain this afternoon, been captain for the majority of this season, and that Chelsea may have to sell him in order to fulfill their financial fair play obligations. It's really absurd way that the ruling states that the value of a homegrown player is 100% because it's full profit, therefore meaning it's far better for you to sell your homegrown players when surely the league should be encouraging, or the system should be encouraging, homegrown players to come through for their clubs. I can tell you there's been a second goal in the Asian Cup. Australia have doubled their lead against India, and with about 15 minutes or so to go in that one. The 73rd minute, Australia 2, India 0 is the latest score. We finally kicked off. In fact, Jordan Boss scored the goal to give Australia their 2-goal lead there. It's finally kicked off in our game in the Liga. Las Palmas are taking on Villarreal. Here with the early goings in that game, I'm delighted to welcome Mark Thomas back to the show. Hello, Mark. We'll join Mark momentarily to bring us up to date with the latest going on in that game between Las Palmas and Villarreal. There's been a chance for the visitors finally at Coventry. Leicester City getting themselves a chance, but not quite a goal, Patrick.
No, not quite a goal, but I tell you what, Dewsbury Hall, he's a Premiership player. He got the ball, beat 2 players, pulled it back, and Callum took a shot. The goalkeeper saved it, but it's getting better now with 36 gone. Coventry 0, Leicester 0.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Let's go back to Spain. Las Palmas versus Villarreal. Let's see if we can hook up with Mark Thomas to tell us how the early stages of this one are going.
Yes, good afternoon to you again, Dean. Very cagey start to the game. Villarreal looking quite aggressive as they start out here in this match. And, of course, home team Las Palmas been a bit of a surprise this season, their form. But nothing much to report at this point yet. Beautiful blue skies here, and the pitch looks in amazing condition. So we should, it's a great afternoon for some great football. After 2 minutes here, it is Las Palmas 0, Villarreal 0.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Mark. Reporting there from the Estadio de Gran Canaria. Back to Stamford Bridge, where the visitors had another half chance, Billy.
It came from a corner from Fulham. It was a short one, worked between Anthony Robinson and Willian. Willian then whipped it out to the edge of the box to club captain Tom Cairney, who flicked it up and volleyed it high and wide of Petrovic's goal. A bit of a sight, but a bit of a pop shot from Tom Cairney. But expected to have done better from there, a player of his quality. But that's what they've resulted to, these small half chances and pop shots from the edge of the box that we're seeing at the moment. But still, as we approach 40 minutes, 0-0 at Stamford Bridge.
Well, 0-0 at Stamford Bridge, but Willian's just gone down, clutching his foot in real agony. He's rolling around like he's been hit by a sniper. Not quite sure what happened there. Yellow card has been brandished in that game by Anthony Taylor. We'll join Billy. Let's rejoin Billy. Just see exactly what happened there. I've just seen a slow-mo replay of that. That's a nasty-looking challenge, isn't it, Billy?
It's a nasty one from Gusto. It's a late one. It's a high one. Wouldn't be surprised if VAR eventually were to check this one. No word of that so far. If I do get that in a moment, I will let you know. But he's lost the ball. But he's over the top of it. He does win the ball. There's no issue with that. But it's the uncontrolled nature of it. He's over the top of it. He makes contact with the top of the ankle, the base of the leg. VAR are having a look. So I will come back to you when I have a result of that VAR check. But Gusto, on a yellow card, potentially at the moment, a very lucky boy.
Indeed, and Willian, thankfully, just been helped back up onto his feet by the trainers, but that certainly looked a nasty one. Willian, of course, a former Chelsea player as well. Whilst we wait for the verdicts of that VAR check, let's go back to the game at the Midlands. Coventry City 0, Leicester City 0. Leicester had a chance last time we heard. Are they on top, Patrick?
Well, on a breakaway they are, because they seem to be winning that ball again. This time they won the ball in the middle of the park. It was a long ball towards Palmer. He just ran and took a shot, and his shot just went wide. So we're 5 to go now. It's. I don't understand why they're all trying to score goals for just for half time. 39 gone. Still Coventry 0, Leicester City 0.
Still goalless there. Let's go back to Stamford Bridge and Billy Andrews and just see what the VAR verdict was in that game for that challenge by Gusto.
Well, we've had the announcement on the big screen. No red card for Gusto. So a very, very lucky boy. But you have seen those given. You've seen red cards given, in my opinion, for a lot, nicer challenges. Let's say that one. So Marco Silva's not happy. Anthony Taylor wasn't asked to review it by the VAR officials, so we'll have to trust them on this one. But after last night's debacle at Burnley, I don't think VAR is in a position to be making calls as controversial as this early in a game, because it was nasty. But Gusto still on the pitch. It was only a yellow card. Still 0-0 and still 11v11.
It's a real shocking decision. It was a terrible, terrible challenge. And if it's sin red, it'd be no surprise. It seems that VAR don't want to get involved too much this afternoon. Speaking of red card and VAR challenges, I mentioned that because in the FA Cup last Thursday night, there was a red card given for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Rather crazily for a challenge against Crystal Palace. He was given the red card following a VAR verdict. The decision on the pitch was that he didn't make contact with the player and it was to play on. VAR got intervened, red card given. That decision this week has been overturned. And we heard from Sean Dyche about that decision from the FA.
Gonaga's away at AFCON, but are you concerned over his injury, or is it completely healed and he's fine?
As far as we know, obviously we keep contact, or the medical team do. As far as we know, he's getting better and nearly there, so that's good as well, because we were worried at the beginning of his injury it was going to be a long period, and it seems like it's settled down quickly.
I'm surprised they've only got to this far down, to be fair, but I need to get your reaction to the decision to overturn Dominic Calvert-Lewin's red card.
Well, it was bizarre on the day, wasn't it? So, I mean, I don't think anyone would be shocked, but at least, don't get me wrong, we're thankful for the process. I'm a bit concerned with how it ended up there in the first place. And, you know, after so long checking it and all things like that, I didn't think it needed all that, but it got, you know, the decision was made. But at least the powers that be have decided to change it back.
Well, there you go. Sean Dyche not happy with VAR, as many managers haven't been throughout this season. But I can tell you we've had our first goal of the afternoon on Football Live.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's come in our slightly later kickoff in La Liga. Las Palmas versus Villarreal. It's Las Palmas 1, Villarreal 0. Alberto Milero with the goal. Let's go and hear about it with Mark Thomas.
Yes, fantastic goal to get us going here. A wonderful crossfield ball from Suarez. The ball came out to the left-hand side of the box, got the ball back in very quickly, and it's Rodriguez, that man, scoring so many goals right now in great form, putting Las Palmas ahead. After 8 minutes here, it is Las Palmas 1, Villarreal 0.
Great for the home side there. Las Palmas 1, Villarreal 0. I can tell you at the game in the championship, a penalty has been awarded to the visitors. Leicester City have been awarded a penalty in that game. VAR aren't involved in that, in the championship, so a penalty to Leicester can't be overturned like it could well be in the Premier League. So Leicester City have the opportunity to take the lead, despite Coventry City being the dominant side in that game. Meanwhile, I can tell you the penalty has been taken and the penalty has been scored.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And the man who has scored from the spot is Dewsbury Hall to give the visitors the lead right on the stroke of the half-time. Coventry City 0, Leicester City 1. Here to describe the incident and the goal, Patrick Norrit.
Well, again, surrounded play, but it's that man again. I think I mentioned him before the last time you came to me. Dewsbury Hall running with the ball. He ran with the ball in the box, and Thomas just one lunge at him. Definite penalty, as you say, no VAR. Dewsbury Hall stepped up and took his time, put the ball down, looked at the keeper. It took a long time actually to put the ball down. He's putting his socks up, his socks down. He came up to the ball, took a shot. Wonderful goal. So it's Coventry 0, Leicester 1 with what? With 45 played.
Brilliant stuff. So Leicester City look to extend their lead at the top of the championship to 13 points as they kick off ahead of Ipswich Town, whose kickoff is part of our second part of the show here on Football Live. Back to Stamford Bridge, where Fulham almost broke the deadlock at Stamford Bridge.
Another corner from Fulham from the right-hand side. Andreas Pereira with an outswinger. It was cleared by Dizazi. He fell to Harry Wilson about 25 yards out. Volleyed it first time. Just came off the back of Moises Caicedo and out for another corner. That corner was cleared by the elder statesman, Thiago Silva. So Chelsea not having it all their own way as we approach half-time. Quieting down a little bit and settled this game. Less frantic than it was as we go into 2 minutes of added time at Stamford Bridge. It's still 0-0.
It's still 0-0 there. I just saw an interesting stat about Fulham's, the age of their team. They have the oldest average age team in the Premier League, over 29 years of age. Of course, Pochettino famous for introducing young players into his game, and he's trying to make this Chelsea team a carbon copy of his Southampton and Tottenham teams from yesteryear. And if Chelsea fans have the patience with this, they're not known for, they may well bear the fruits of his management later on. And just to contrast that, Chelsea have the youngest this season, the average age of just under 24 years of age. So the kids versus the granddads is how we'll look at this game this season, but nothing between them inside the opening 45 minutes. We're into the second minute of added time at Stamford Bridge. Let's go and check back in Spain in La Liga. Las Palmas 1, Villarreal 0 last time we heard. Any response from the visitors, Mark?
No, not much. It's all Las Palmas all the time right here. They're the only team on the front foot, to be perfectly honest with you. Villarreal, very poor so far. They haven't been able to get a grip, get a stance going in this game at all. They've just had their first foray into the Las Palmas area. Harmless cross, which went all the way across the box and wasn't touched. It's Las Palmas, the home fans, they're singing, they're happy, and they should be. After 12 minutes, it is Las Palmas 1, Villarreal 0.
Villarreal trailing in the early stages of this game. I can tell you, big incident at Stamford Bridge where where Chelsea have been awarded a penalty. VAR will check this. It was a shocking challenge on Raheem Sterling by Diop, and it's the home side that will have a penalty in that game. We'll join Billy Andrews very, very shortly. Before then, let's head to the game in the Championship where Leicester have taken the lead, but they're down to 10 men, Patrick Norris.
Yeah, sorry about that. My technical problems. Yeah, they are down to 10 men. I can't see who's been sent off with that sheep, but it was a bad tackle, two-footed tackle. So Leicester City are now down to 10 men with what? We played one of the added minutes. Now the whistle's going to go soon. So at the moment, it is Coventry 0, Leicester 1, but Leicester have 10 men. So a chance for Coventry in the second half.
It's Fatawu who has been shown red in the second minute of added time at the game at the Coventry Building Society Arena. Chelsea have a penalty, and they've scored the penalty.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's the man who's had 12 goal involvements this season will make that 13. Cole Palmer with the goal to give Chelsea the lead right on the stroke of half-time. Let's join Billy Andrews to describe that incident for the penalty and the subsequent goal.
Well, it was a cool, calm and collected penalty from Cole Palmer. But the penalty came about. It's Raheem Sterling again. He's been causing all sorts of problems down the left-hand side for Chelsea. This time he pops up on the right, up against Issa Diop. It's a lazy tackle from Issa Diop. Just sticks a leg out. He only just catches Raheem Sterling's trailing leg, but that's enough to make him go down. VAR didn't take long at all in taking and confirming that. And Cole Palmer stepped up and put it coolly into the right-hand side, sent Leno the wrong way. He now moves clear of Florian Wirtz with 13 goal involvements for an under-21 this season. He's coming for Jude Bellingham's 15 goal involvements. Just as we approach half-time, it's Chelsea 1, Fulham 0.
That's Chelsea's 8th penalty they've been awarded this season, the most in the Premier League. That's 2 ahead of Arsenal. I can tell you it's half-time in the Championship. Coventry City 0, Leicester City 1, but Leicester, of course, down to 10 men. It's now half-time at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 1, Fulham 0. That Cole Palmer penalty just before the interval, giving the home side the lead there. It's currently about 18 minutes gone in the Liga. Las Palmas 1, Villarreal 0. It's time to head over to Nigeria and join FJ and the team. You are listening to Football Live.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Welcome back to Football Live. Thank you to FJ and the team. Let's just bring you up to date. Chelsea 1, Fulham 0, half-time score. The team's about to make their way out for the second half. It's just kicked off in the second half. Coventry 0, Leicester City 1. Leicester, of course, down to 10 men. And our featured game in the Liga, it's about half an hour gone in that one. Las Palmas 1, Villarreal 0. Last time we heard, but there's been plenty of chances, Mark, since we were last with you.
Yes, there's been a few chances for both teams, but it's really been a story of yellow cards here. Both teams, it's a feisty battle in midfield. Both teams have had 2 yellow cards each. And, of course, we did have a chance a couple of minutes ago. Morales on the counter-attack put the ball in on a diagonal, but it went over at the near post. And Villarreal are coming back into it. They look quite positive going down the left-hand side now. But really, so far, it's a game of missed chances or missed passes. It's very scrappy. It's not a very clean game to watch. And Las Palmas, they do look in control. The score right now, after 31 minutes, it is still Las Palmas 1, Villarreal 0.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Mark. The weather seems to be making up for the scrappiness of the game in Spain. Let's get a half-time report from Stamford Bridge. Just about to kick off in the second half there. Fulham have had just 1 win in 25 games. I just checked up. The last time the only time they beat them in 25 games was almost a year to the day. It was yesterday, a year ago, a 2-1 victory at Craven Cottage. One of an ill-fated defeat for Graham Potter and a big win for Marco Silva. If you want to look it up even further, it's just 2 wins in 44 for Fulham. But here to run through the half-time report and see if Fulham can get anything from this game is Billy Andrews.
Well, Chelsea much in control of that first half, and they had a fantastic opportunity after about 20-odd minutes, and it fell to Armando Broja. Fantastic cross into the box from Enzo Fernandez, but he just got his header all wrong. Only 1 goal in his 12 appearances so far this season in the Premier League for Chelsea. Fulham then had their chance to go ahead, and fantastic cross the box cross from Anthony Robinson, and it was Harry Wilson at the far post, but his shot was saved by Petrovic. Then Malo Gusto, very, very lucky to stay on, got a booking for going over the top of the ball against Willian and catching his ankle, studs up. VAR had a look and said no red card, it was just reckless, not dangerous, but he was sent off for something similar earlier in the season when they played Aston Villa. But just before the half-time whistle went, Raheem Sterling dribbled into the Fulham box, and a lazy tackle by Issa Diop brought him down, and Cole Palmer's 5th penalty taken for Chelsea, his fifth penalty scored, gave Chelsea a half-time lead of 1-0. They've won 6 and drawn 1 of the games that they've been leading at half-time. Fulham need to get Raul Jimenez involved more. He barely touched the ball in that first half. And something to warm the cockles of the Chelsea fans at half-time was the sight of Ben Chilwell warming up after such a long period of time out with injury. But the second half's just kicked off, 47 minutes gone. It's 1-0 to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge.
Still 1-0 to Chelsea. Raul Jimenez, he certainly needs to get involved, but he's just got involved. A nasty-looking challenge from Thiago Silva has given Fulham a free kick on the edge of the area. Let's get a half-time report from a game in the Championship. Coventry versus Leicester City. The away side scoring against the run of play, but also down to 10 men, Patrick.
Yeah, down to 10 men. I mean, like I said, I think what we saw, there was no really end-to-end stuff in this game, because it was all Coventry trying to get it on the break. They didn't score. But we're the last 5 minutes. What happened was Dewsbury Hawes went on a run, and then he got fouled, and then penalty was awarded rightly, and he stepped up and finished it on the 44th. And then some mad 2 minutes. A man got sent off. Fatui on the halfway line made a bad tackle. He got a straight red. So at the moment, you still got Coventry 0 with Leicester City 1. And how do they do it? Oh, before I forget, there's been one substitution. McAteer's come on for Leicester. The thing is, do they stick or do they go for it? As for Coventry, they're going to try to see if they get another goal. At the moment, it's basically they've got the ball, they're trying to go forward. So, still, 49 gone. Coventry 0, Leicester 1.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Loads to get through there at the Coventry Building Society Arena. Let's get the latest odds powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, all the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. The Premier League is Chelsea 1, Fulham 0. 48 minutes gone. Chelsea are 1.25 to win the game. The draw has just gone up to 6.0. And for Fulham turnaround is 15.0. The Coventry-Leicester game, that's been interesting because Leicester are winning at Coventry by 1-0. But they play with 10 men. So Coventry's odds are not as high as expected. They are 3.80 for the win. The draw has gone down to 3.0. And away win to Leicester is 2.20. The game in La Liga is still 1-0 to Las Palmas against Villarreal after 36 minutes. Las Palmas are only 1.67 to win that game. The draw is 3.80. And Villarreal away win is 5.0. If you just go back for the Chelsea game, if you think it's going to be over 2.5 goals, so we're basically talking about 3 goals or more, the odds now are 2.15. If you think it's going over 3.5 goals, it's 4.75. As for next goal scorer, if you think Cole Palmer, I think he's probably going to be one of the favourites to score. He is on... I can't find him. So, Cole Palmer is 8.0 to score next. William, if you think he's going to score next, he's 13.0. And Carlos Vinicius, he's on 11.0. So these are some of the favourites of goal scorers to score the second goal. Of course, all these prizes are from NairaBet, and it's all subject to change. And I apologise, Dean. I just could not find Cole Palmer for a second.
Well, you couldn't find Cole Palmer, and neither could the Fulham defence, as he's just ghosted through and had another chance for Chelsea. That's the latest odds powered by Nora, but of course they are subject to change. Let's go straight back to Spain, the Liga. Las Palmas 1, Villarreal 0. But in the few minutes since we were with you, Mark, we've seen the bar rattled. We've had another yellow card. It's all happening, isn't it?
It's all happening, but no goals. We've had the crossbar hit here, and we did have that yellow card. It's now 3 yellow cards to 2 in favour of Las Palmas. And a couple of seconds ago, Moreno took that shot, hit the crossbar. The goalkeeper was beaten. It came down. You had the sense that the goalkeeper was waiting for it to bounce down on the line or hit him in the back or something, going to the back of the net. But luckily for him, it bounced straight out. So the big chance, the best chance Villarreal have had, to be perfectly honest with you. They do look very, very shaky at the back, though. Eric Bailly is not having a good day coping with the runs of Sancho. At 38 minutes, it's still Las Palmas 1, Villarreal 0.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Mark. It's at least warming up for you there in that game. The game finally matching the weather. Let's go to Stamford Bridge, Chelsea versus Fulham. The first yellow cards of the second half, Billy.
Yeah, it's for Harry Wilson. It was just a late tackle on Enzo Fernandez. He was trying to convince Anthony Taylor he got the ball, but he was a good few yards away from getting that ball, I would imagine. They've had a couple of chances. Like you said, Cole Palmer drifting completely unmarked and just curling it high and wide of Bernd Leno's goal. But the chance before that fell to Armando Broja. Lovely work by Cole Palmer again. Lovely quick feet and dribbling to get it to Broja, but he just couldn't get it out from under his feet. From 8 yards out, he thought if he could have got a shot on target, surely it could have doubled Chelsea's lead and his goal tally for the season. But he couldn't get it out of his feet and it was taken off of him by Issa Diop. Fulham just trying to find some passes now, but good pressing from Chelsea. Caicedo closing off the angles very well. Want the ball back again, Chelsea, this time to Enzo Fernandez. But still at Stamford Bridge, as we approach 52 minutes, it's Chelsea 1, Fulham 0.
Yeah, it's got a real feel of an open
You are
second
listening
half.
to Football Live on Brila FM.
Take Brila anywhere, everywhere.
Yes, you can take Brila with you anywhere, everywhere.
The Brila app is available for free download. Available for download on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
Introducing NairaBet's new feature, ShareBet. Celebrate victories, showcase your skills, and join the NairaBet community today. Ever wished you could share the excitement of your bets with friends and fellow enthusiasts effortlessly? Well, now your betting experience can be shared with just a click, making every moment unforgettable. How to share your bet. Step 1, place your bets at nairabet.com. Step 2, go to the My Bet section. Step 3, select the drop-down on your bet slip. Step 4, select Share Bet to copy your bet. Your bet is now ready to be shared with the world. Must be 18 plus to place a bet. General terms and conditions apply.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
Join from the corner where the big boys play.
Tomorrow on Football Live, exclusive to Brila FM. Alex Guilford will take over as Football Live focuses on Old Trafford, where Manchester United take on Tottenham Hotspur. The Bundesliga is back too. Stuttgart go to Gladbach. And of course, it's AFCON, so we'll be right across the later kickoff between Mozambique and Egypt. There really is no football coverage quite like it. Join us tomorrow afternoon for a mouth-watering selection of top football action, live and exclusive on Brila FM, right here on Football Live.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Well, yeah, fantastic show looking tomorrow. Everton, Villa, Man United, Nigeria versus Equatorial Guinea, of course, from the African Cup of Nations. Egypt versus Mozambique, Mönchengladbach versus Stuttgart, Le Havre versus Lyon, Fiorentina versus Udinese. What an afternoon we have for you tomorrow on Football Live. But that's tomorrow. Let's talk about today, and let's head straight back to Stamford Bridge. With the first half may have been forgettable, the second half is entertaining, Billy.
The second half certainly is more entertaining already than the entire first 45 minutes. Raheem Sterling has hit the bar with a header. Lovely ball in again by Enzo Fernandez, and Malo Gusto on the follow-up after the ball had hit the bar, blazed it so high and so off target, it went out for a throw before the linesman's flag went up. Fulham did have a shout for a handball, well, they claimed handball. Willian's first-time shot hit the back of Axel Disasi. His hands were behind his back, so it's never going to be a penalty anyway. But fantastic start to the second half already. Still 1-0 to Chelsea, Stamford Bridge.
Billy, just when Fulham have had the chances, do you feel they're overplaying when they get towards the penalty area? They're just making an extra touch. It seems like a bit of nerves when they get around the Chelsea box.
It does. Like I said, it's the extra touch, it's the extra pass that they don't need to make. They did have a chance with Raul Jimenez, but it was sort of fired in way too high for him. He got the header, but it was straight up and over the bar from Petrovic, as Gusto fired one in towards Breyer, but it was just behind him and cleared behind for a corner by Issa Diop. So they need to retain the ball better, Fulham. They're giving it away so cheaply, so easily, and it's so easy for Chelsea in that midfield to win it back and put pressure on them yet again. They need to sort that midfield out, Fulham, otherwise they're really going to struggle.
Indeed. Well, time will tell. Fulham, of course, that wretched record at Stamford Bridge looks to be continued as things stand. Just about 11 minutes gone in the second half. Chelsea 1, Fulham 0. Let's check back in the game in the Championship. Coventry versus Leicester City. Leicester with the lead, but down to 10 men. How have Coventry started this second half, Patrick?
Well, Coventry are dominating possession, I would say, because what Leicester do, they drop back in a mid-block on a 4 and you can see that. And so just before you came to me, there was Woolwich went over to the right-hand side, a wonderful crossing, and Matthew Gordon headed the ball down to the keeper. He saved it. But it doesn't look, when you look at this game, you can tell who's got the 10 men, because Leicester are playing the same way, but Dewsbury Hall is going to be the one going to cause a problem, because every time he gets the ball, he runs with it and causes a problem. So at the moment, with 59 gone, still Coventry 0, Leicester 1.
Still 1-0 to the league leaders in the Championship. Chelsea, meanwhile, at Stamford Bridge, 13 shots they've had to 2. Fulham, 7 to 2. So it's 2 on target, I should say. Their first 2 shots were there. Fulham's 2 shots on target. They've not been able to hit the target since. Meanwhile, there has been another yellow card at Stamford Bridge, and it's another yellow card for Chelsea, Billy.
This time, it's the Argentinian midfielder Enzo Fernandez. A bit of a robust, scissoring challenge on Anthony Robinson. Protested again with that Anthony Taylor. That shouldn't have been a yellow card, but it was just that follow-through with that trailing leg that caught the back of Robinson. And on NairaBet, Chelsea are 1.20 for the win. Fulham tells you where the bookies think this one's going. 21.0 for the win, 6.0 for the draw. So the bookies have Chelsea firm favourites. Coming up to 60 minutes gone. It's 1-0 to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge.
Thank you, Billy. Of course, those latest odds powered by NairaBet are subject to change. Meanwhile, Chelsea had a golden opportunity again as they break away on Fulham in the Liga. Let's not forget Las Palmas 1, Villarreal 0. We're going into stoppage time at the end of the first half until the half-time has just gone in that game. Let's in fact head back to Spain. Las Palmas versus Villarreal. Half-time 1-0 to the home side there. Mark Thomas, summarise that first half for us.
Well, the best thing that's happened here, other than the one fantastic goal, which was really a terrific piece of finishing by Rodriguez for Las Palmas, we've had 7 yellow cards in the first half. 4 to Las Palmas and 3 to Villarreal. It's been scrappy. There's been chances on both ends. Pedrazo has looked busy going down the left-hand side. But again, no final touch. That final bit of quality lacking for both teams, except, as I mentioned, that one goal. Just half-time right here, right now, and it is still Las Palmas 1, Villarreal 0.
Stuff will rejoin Mark for all of the action from the second half from the Estadio de Gran Canaria. Meanwhile, let's go back to Stamford Bridge where the home side were close to doubling their lead, Billy Andrews.
And everything Cole Palmer does for this Chelsea side is an absolute joy to watch. He picks it up just inside the Fulham half and flicks it over Anthony Robinson. Delicious little flick over the American fullback. He then runs down the right-hand side, plays it to Malo Gusto, plays a quick first-time low cross in towards Raheem Sterling. That's blocked by Issa Diop, but falls back to Cole Palmer. One touch to shift it onto his left foot, and he bends it just wide of Leno's far post. Leno was scrolling. He wasn't going to get there. Like you said, they should build the team around him because everything he does is absolutely golden. Couple changes getting ready for Fulham. I'll let you know as soon as I know who's coming on. But still 1-0 at Stamford Bridge.
Thank you very much, Billy. Straight back to the Coventry Building Society Arena, where the home side had the majority of the chances in the first half, but we're being stung with a penalty awarded at the end of that. But Leicester subsequently down to 10 men, and it's a case of same as for the home side, with another chance to try and get themselves back in it, Pat.
Yeah, it is. And what I can see is that they're dominating possession. I'm watching Mark Robbins. He's so relaxed on the touchline. Of course, he used to play for Man United. We all know that. But Sakamoto got the ball on the right-hand side, worked it, beat two men, crossed the ball. But Thomas, the centre-back, took a shot, goalkeeper saved it. And it could have been 1-1. At the moment, 63 gone. It's still Coventry 0, Leicester 1.
Coventry striving for an equaliser to preserve their unbeaten run in the Championship. Leicester City looking to hold on to extend their lead at the top of the Championship to 13 points over their nearest rivals, Ipswich Town, who of course play later on today. I can tell you it finished earlier on in the Asian Cup. It finished Australia 2, India 0. Irvine and Boss with the goals to give Australia victory in that game. We're shortly coming up to kick off in Serie A. Genoa take on Torino and Napoli take on Salernitana. Those two games, as the goals go in, we will bring you bang up to date with goals in that game. Let's head back to Stamford Bridge. Has the game slowed down at all, Billy? It's been a real frantic opening 15 minutes of this second half.
It's just about settled into a pattern now, Dean. But Fulham, when they do get the ball, it is what you mentioned earlier, that final pass, the extra pass too much. Willian had a fantastic opportunity down the left-hand side. He was up against Gusto. He was clear running in front of him, but he just held the ball up to try and wait for Tom Cairney. When Tom Cairney got to him, he played the ball and then didn't carry on his run. So Tom Cairney then had nowhere to go, ended up giving the ball away, and Chelsea could attack and counter again. But Andreas Pereira's had a relatively quiet evening. Willian struggling to influence anything that, like we know he can. I say Raul Jimenez, still only one hand I could count the amount of times I've noticed him touch the ball meaningfully. So these changes that are coming up, as soon as I know who's coming on for who, I'll let you know. But these changes, Marco Silva will have to hope they make the difference. Still 1-0 at Stamford Bridge.
Seems like an eternal wait for the Fulham subs before they come. And they're ready to, it seems about half an hour ago. Potentially now could well be the time for those changes to take place. Billy will let you know as soon as that happens. We touched on it earlier in the show, but we really should revisit last night's Premier League game between Burnley and Luton Town. Both teams are struggling at the wrong end of the table. A controversial decision. I'm going to join in Football Live's football experts, John Kane, just to chew the fat over this one. A big result in the end for Luton Town, but Vincent Kompany of Burnley will feel hard done by, don't you think?
Yeah, I think when you first look at it and you think, right, that's going to be ruled out, that Luton goal, and then the more and more you see it, you can see why VAR gave the goal. It could have gone either way, so I'm not going to say it's 100%, but it's more or less the Adebayor, the Luton player, sort of pushes a bit on the Burnley keeper, James Trafford, but we've seen it given as a foul. Of course, there's a rules that you don't touch the goalkeepers, but it's just I'm trying to find the exact words because you're gonna I think it's a decision that you're not gonna really please anyone, and I thought wait for the VAR. It took us a while. To be fair, it took about 2-3 minutes, so it wasn't like a 10-minute break. Wait for it, but the goal was given, and I think Luton in that game, they probably deserved a draw. They played very well, especially in the first half. They were more or less in control of that game until Burnley scored in the first half, which I think was about 35 minutes. So I think at the end of the day, the result is to be fair, it was a fair result, and to be fair to Luton, they probably surprised everyone, the style of football they're playing, and they played very well against Chelsea the other night as well. And they're really, really putting themselves one of the favourites to stay up and keep pushing teams like Burnley and Sheffield United into the Championship next season. But as far as yesterday, I think that goal sort of puzzled probably more Burnley than Luton fans. I think Luton fans would be very happy about it. But with Burnley, I think you can see the frustration. And of course, you can see on what Vincent Kompany also, he talked about it as well after the game. But no, I think 1-1 was actually a fair result to be fair in the end.
The result, yeah, certainly on the balance of play over 90 minutes, I think would be a fair result. Just going back to that in some of the goal, you'd say 999 times out of 1,000, that free kick would be given. We've seen it given time and time again, and every time it is given, pundits, ex-players, commentators, they all say, "Oh, why is that given?" Keepers get unfair treatment, preferential treatment. There wasn't really that much contact. When you actually look at it, it's just we're so used to seeing it given that we're almost conditioned to expect a free kick to be given. I hope this is potentially the way the game's going, where the keepers have to be as strong as the outfield players.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, if that decision was given as a foul, no one would have been surprised. And I think there's a more surprise that actually the goal was given. And like you said, it's 99 out of 100 chances like that, it would have gone in the goalkeeper's favour. And I think it is probably the good decision, because in a way it sort of encourages attacking games rather than actually being cautious of coming anywhere near the goalkeeper. And like I said, Adebayor is the one who actually was involved in that slight touch, shall we say, or push as far as the game is concerned, and he wasn't punished. And the more and more you look at it, it's more or less, you can see that James Trafford, he sort of made the bigger meal out of it as well, and that didn't then go in his favour in VAR. But the player who scored it has got nothing to do with it, and he's actually was happy about it. But weirdly enough, when Luton did score a goal, most of the Luton fans weren't even celebrating. I think they were sort of even the goal was given, and none of them were actually celebrating as a 2 minutes to go equaliser away to Burnley. And I think they had their own suspicion when that happened, and but that suspicion more or less faded away when VAR came back.
And isn't that sad how VAR has changed the experience for the football fan in the ground? They don't know whether to cheer, celebrate, stick, twist, or it can be a painful experience, and certainly the emotions aren't quite as spontaneous as they once were.
No, absolutely. I mean, to be honest with you, I think I love VAR personally. I think VAR is absolutely great tool to have in the top flight, and maybe even going down to the Championship, hopefully next season, and few other leagues. And it's been used all over the world now, more or less. I think the problem with VAR is not VAR itself, it's the referees or the experts who's actually looking at it. I mean, we saw that Chelsea game early on, this game that we're looking at the moment, and that tackle in the first half that Billy was talking about, it was shocking. You know, it's gone to VAR, and then they said, "Oh, Anthony Taylor was happy with the yellow card." He wasn't even given the chance to go and have a look at it, because I've seen that being given a red card, and I think straight away comes to mind. It's very similar to what Romero did 3 or 4 weeks ago. I can't remember who it was against, but he got sent off. I think it was against Chelsea.
Against Chelsea, yeah.
It was Chelsea, yeah. And it's very, very similar tackle, and yet Romero was given a yellow, which been gone to red after VAR review. But in this one, it stayed on yellow, and I'm agree with Billy. Very, very lucky boy to be on the pitch.
Very lucky indeed. Well, thank you, John. That point sees Luton remain third from bottom of the relegation zone, but they've moved level on points with Everton, who are just above them, but they've got a much better goal difference. Of course, Everton with that 10-point deduction in the league so far this season. Burnley remain 4 points further adrift of Luton Town. The team that needs to be worrying, I believe, are Brentford. They've lost 5 on the spin. They're just 3 points above the drop zone. They do have a couple of games in hand, but form is not on their side. Whilst we've been debating and discussing last night's game, there's a big game going on right now at Stamford Bridge, a West London derby, no less. And there's been plenty of chances since we were last with you, Billy Andrews.
That's right, and they've both fallen to Chelsea. The first one, again, Cole Palmer, everything he does is a joy to behold. A lovely ball into him from Raheem Sterling. A nice, lovely spin with the ball, but just taken off of him from Anthony Robinson. And then again, a direct run from the substitute, Noni Madueke. He's come on to replace Armando Broja. Direct run down that right-hand side, pulled it back, deflected to the edge of the box, and it fell to Levi Colwill, who hit it first time high over the top of Leno's crossbar. Probably the last person who want that ball to fall to. Those two subs for Fulham that we were waiting what felt like an age for. It was Bobby De Cordova-Reid and Timothy Castagna for Wilson and Kenny Tete. So the two changes that Marco Silva made from Wednesday night's defeat to Liverpool. Fulham do have a 57.6% big conversion rate. Well, that's the highest in the league this season so far. So if they do get a big chance, more than often they take it, but they haven't had a big chance yet. But there's still just over 20 minutes to go plus added time. Still, at Stamford Bridge, 1-0 to Chelsea.
You say about Fulham not quite creating that clear-cut opportunity, but De Cordova-Reid has pushed that Chelsea backline and almost got him behind a couple of times since he's come on.
But it's something different that Harry Wilson wasn't offering. I think you lose something from Harry Wilson when you play him as a wide right player. He's not got the pace to get in behind. He's more of a creative player. He's playing in that 10, but then you lose Andreas Pereira, who's been very good for Fulham, it must be said. So they've got that direct threat, but now that Broja has gone off and Cole Palmer's gone into the middle, Madueke's come on for Chelsea. He's that direct threat. He's just won a corner. So the game has changed, really. I think we're going to see a lot more end-to-end play in the last 20 minutes or so of this game. And until Chelsea score a second, 1-0, it's a bit of a precarious lead to have.
Indeed, you only have to go back to that game against Luton Town a few weeks ago when they had a 3-goal lead going in with 10 minutes to go and nervously were hanging on as that game played out. Well, time will tell, Billy, and we'll see if Chelsea can hold on to their lead. Let's check back in on a game on the Champions, see how Coventry are getting on in their pursuit of an equaliser against league leaders Leicester City.
Well, Mark Robbins, what he's done is change the shape of his team. He's gone 3-5-2. John Heckle's come off. In players come on. Jamie Allen's come in and going to midfield. And Jadon De Silva, who's a left back, actually, he's going to play wing back on the left-hand side. He's come on for Jake Bidwell. At the moment, by getting those wing backs on, hoping to get crosses in for their two strikers up top, but it hasn't happened yet. With 74 gone, still Coventry 0, Leicester 1.
Still Coventry 0, Leicester 1. Thank you very much, Patrick. It's half-time still in the game in Spain. Las Palmas 1, Villarreal 0. We've kicked off in our two games in Serie A. Genoa 0, Torino 0, Napoli 0, Salernitana 0. Latest scores. But there was a big chance. We spoke about it. They've got the highest conversion rate in the Premier League. And they couldn't take this one, Billy.
It was a golden opportunity for Raul Jimenez to get Fulham level in this game. It's Andreas Pereira down this left-hand side. He stands up Thiago Silva and Gusto, pulls one back, and it's Levi Colwill, I think, or Enzo Fernandez that slips and gives Raul Jimenez a golden opportunity. He hits it first time. Petrovic gets down well to save it, parries it away out of the danger of any Fulham players, and it's cleared by Thiago Silva. But they're coming, they're building the pressure in this game. Ben Chilwell is getting his kit on, ready to come on for his first appearance since his injury. But still, only just 1-0 to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge.
And it really is all Fulham at the moment. Fulham desperately searching for an equaliser in the West London derby. Chelsea 1, Fulham 0 as it stands. In the English Championship, Coventry City 0, Leicester City 1. Leicester down to 10 men, of course. Down to 10 men just moments after taking the lead at the end of the first half. Just to get the latest odds powered by Narrabet, Fulham are 17.0 to complete a turnaround victory here at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. And there's been another chance for the visitors to get right back into it, Billy.
And it's fallen to the Mexican striker yet again. A fantastic cross-field pass. I think it was Bobby De Cordova-Reid that hit it, actually. Fantastic crossfield pass. Just touched it down on his chest, Raul Jimenez, and volleyed it straight at Petrovic. Fulham, though, do have a free kick on the edge of the box. Caicedo's been booked for a foul on Andreas Pereira. So that's a dangerous free kick for them to have. I'll let you know the result of this free kick. But Caicedo's in the book. That's another Chelsea player on a yellow card, and still waiting for Ben Chilwell to come on. But still, only just again, 1-0 Chelsea at Stamford Bridge.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Billy. Let's go straight back to the game. The Midlands Coventry City versus Leicester City. Two teams that historically have plied their trades in the top flight. They're both trying to find a way back into the top flight right now. Leicester City in pole position, and they almost double their lead.
Yeah, it could have been 2-0. They actually worked the ball quite well on the wedge of the box, and the ball was given to Cannon. He just scribbled on it and took a shot, and the goalkeeper palmed it away. With 77 gone, it's still Coventry 0, Leicester 1.
It's still Coventry City 0, Leicester City 1, as we're into the last 12 minutes in that game. It's about 15 minutes or so to go at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea versus Fulham, and we're still at half-time in Spain. Las Palmas 1, Villarreal 0, the latest score there. Let's just check in back at Stamford Bridge. Last we heard, Fulham had a free kick and a chance to equalise. How did that free kick go, Billy?
Well, it looked like a very poor free kick from Andreas Pereira. It's yeah, it was a horrible, very bad tackle from Caicedo that gave it away, but it was actually another yellow card as well. Axel Disasi was booked after that for kicking the ball away after the whistle had blown. Ben Chilwell's just about to come on. He's going to replace Raheem Sterling, so the defensive-minded substitute from Mauricio Pochettino. I'll say 1-0 is a dangerous lead to have, particularly with Fulham in the ascendancy. So let's see if that gamble pays off. He's taken the captain's armband off Conor Gallagher. Still only 1-0. Fulham are going to have to do better from set pieces if they're going to get anything from this game.
They certainly are. Well, the odds would certainly be if they did get a big chance. They've missed one. They've got an over 50% conversion rate. If they were to get a second, they surely would convert it. But someone who has converted is Coventry City.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's Coventry City 1, Leicester City 1. It's an equaliser by Callum O'Hare for the home side against 10-men league leaders Leicester City. And we'll hear about that goal very, very shortly. Until we do, I can also tell you it's kicked off in the game in Spain. Las Palmas versus Villarreal, still a 0-0 for the home side there. Whilst we wait to hear about that goal, let's get the latest. In fact, let's go and hear about that goal with Patrick Norrett.
That is a goal. I'm going to tell you, they actually worked it 4 passes and got in the box and got it to O'Hare. And Callum O'Hare, again, you know, I mentioned it was shrivel. That's what he did. That means a turn in the box, bottom left-hand corner. Game on, 79 gone. Coventry 1, Leicester 1.
Well, what a goal for the equaliser. That would shake things up at the top end of the championship. Meanwhile, let's go and get the latest odds powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, all the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. If you just heard Coventry, you've just equalised after 80 minutes. 10 minutes to go plus stoppage time. Now, Coventry are 3.20 for the win. The draw is 1.57. And an away win just gone down to 10.0 for Leicester City. Still 1-1 there. In the Premier League, 78 minutes gone. It's still Chelsea 1, Fulham 0. Chelsea are 1.13 for the win. The draw has just gone up to 7.50. And Fulham away win is 41.0. The Las Palmas Villarreal game just kicked off. Las Palmas are leading by a 0-0. Las Palmas are 1.70 for the win, 3.50 for the draw, and it's just gone up to Villarreal to 6.0. Serie A, 9 minutes gone in Genoa, Torino, still 0-0 there. Genoa are 3.10 for the win. The draw has just gone down to 2.80, and away win for Torino is 2.80. Napoli, Salernitana, still 0-0 as well. Napoli are firm favourites for that game. They've just gone down to 1.33 for the win. The draw is 5.25, and away win for Salernitana is 9.50. Now, if you think it's a draw no bet, Leicester City are 4.0 for a draw no bet, which means if it's a draw, it's a no bet and you get your money back. But they are just gone down to 3.80. Likewise for Fulham, a draw no bet for Fulham is 19.0. So if it's a draw, you get your money back, and if you win, you win that £19. Of course, all these prizes are from NairaBet and it's all subject to change.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, John. Let's go straight back to Stamford Bridge, where Thiago Silva's a bit of a lucky man, Billy Andrews.
And only just a lucky man, but I think about a matter of half a foot he's a lucky man, because if Malo Gusto is any further behind him, he's last man, and that's a red card for taking out Raul Jimenez. But Fulham break very quickly. The ball comes to Jimenez. Thiago Silva, the elder statesman I called him earlier, just takes out Jimenez's leg up by the knee and stops the counter-attack very quickly. He's been booked, and Cole Palmer's been booked as well. So I make that 6 Chelsea players to go into the book. I think 5 or 6 Chelsea players to go into the book. They've just won another corner off Timothy Castagna. But Fulham posing more of a threat as the game goes on, but with 10 minutes plus added time to go, they're running out of time to get anything from this game. Still 1-0 at Stamford Bridge.
It's 5 yellow cards for Chelsea, 1 for Fulham. So, 6 in the game, but just the 5 to Chelsea. And, Thiago Silva tried to handle the ball as well as take out Raul Jimenez with that challenge as he looked to break through on goal. Let's go back to the game in the Championship. Coventry City just equalised against Leicester City, but now they're turning the screw, Patrick Norritt.
Yeah, they're dominating now. You know, they're really keeping the ball well, and he actually forced the Leicester manager to make a substitute. Basically, he's taken off Thomas Cullen, his striker, and brought on Hamzam Chowdhury, of course, who plays in midfield. So it seems that maybe he's trying to keep it up 1-1. I don't know. But Coventry, I tell you what, they're passing that ball about really well. So money on time before they get another goal. Hopefully, 83 gone. It's still Coventry 1, Leicester 1. What a game.
Well, still 1-0 there, but in Spain, there's been a second goal.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well, they're leading in the yellow card race. They've extended their lead in the game as well. Las Palmas 2, Villarreal 0 is a latest score. Villarreal struggling, and they conceded a second goal 7 minutes after the restart in that game. Meanwhile, let's go and hear about another opportunity for the visitors at Stamford Bridge.
A bit of a bizarre one for Raul Jimenez this time. It's another quick counter from a Chelsea corner for Fulham. He's beaten Thiago Silva, so he's not got to worry about him. But he's got the freedom of Stamford Bridge in front of him, and he opts to shoot from halfway, and it just dribbles into the feet of Petrovic. He can pick it up, and Chelsea can come again. 2 more changes for Fulham. Joao Palhinha and Andreas Pereira have come off to be replaced by Muniz and Lukic. So, again, more of an attacking change. And Conor Gallagher has just hit the bar. A fantastic outside of the footed effort from inside the box. Keeper Bird Leno didn't even move, and it cannoned off the left-hand post, and Chelsea work it now down the left-hand side. But again, a frantic end to this game at Stamford Bridge. It's still somehow only 1-0 to Chelsea.
And here it begins. Football Live. Our proof that Sports Radio 88.9 Brilla FM has gone beyond one league. Football Live. It takes you from country to country, venue to venue. Football Live. It's about eyewitness reports at match venues exclusively for Sports Radio 88.9 Brilla FM.
Follow NairaBet on Twitter @NairaBet and on Facebook @NairaBet Online to take part in our infamous giveaways, and you too can win big. NairaBet, the home of sports betting and fast payments in Nigeria. Let's get back to the action on Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Well, let's get straight to the Estadio de Gran Canaria to hear about that second Las Palmas goal.
Hi there, Dean. It's been a wonderful goal, and what a great day if you're a 19-year-old hometown kid making your debut in La Liga for your hometown club. He's put the ball in the net from a corner. Juanma Herzog, a corner from the right-hand side, a flying header. Flew past the goalkeeper, didn't stand a chance. The place has gone wild. Villarreal are getting ready to make some changes because they have to pick up with some more attacking intent now. After 53 minutes here, it is now Las Palmas 2, Villarreal 0.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Mark. The home side very much in the ascendancy. That would leapfrog them above Valencia and Getafe up to 8th in the table as things stand. Another goal would see them climb above Betis up to 7th in the table and just one place behind those European places as well. Meanwhile, in the Championship, there's been a third goal.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well, it was Leicester City that took the lead against the run of play at the end of the first half. But it's Coventry City who have scored a deserved goal to take a 2-1 lead in the dying embers of this game in the Championship to send the league leaders to defeat, or seemingly to the defeat. It's Milan Ben Uic with the goal that has given Coventry the lead. They've come from behind to take the lead against the league leaders in that game. We'll hear about that very, very shortly. Meanwhile, let's go back to Stamford Bridge, where Fulham were very close to getting themselves back into it yet again, Billy Andrews.
Yeah, well, they had a free kick on the edge, right on the edge of the 18-yard box. It was given away by Levi Colwell, who actually won the ball in this case. So Anthony Taylor got that one wrong. Andres Pereira's gone off, remember, so Willian stepped up to take it. And one of those just put too much power on it. Didn't have enough room to get the ball back down again, straight over the top of Petrovic's bar, who, let's be honest, with Petrovic, Chelsea have had their goalkeeping problems in recent seasons. He looks very calm and collected. With a couple of smart saves, it's very easy under pressure. So Chelsea could have found their new long-term goalkeeper in Petrovic. I think Robert Sanchez might struggle to get back into the team at this rate, but just under 5 minutes to go. Still 1-0 to Chelsea. It's Stamford Bridge.
Chelsea with the lead at home to Fulham. Coventry with the lead now at home to Leicester City. Las Palmas with the lead at home to Villarreal. Those are our three featured games on Football Live. I can tell you in Serie A, it's still goalless in both games. They're about 20 minutes in. Genoa 0, Torino 0, Napoli 0, Salernitana 0. The both latest scores in the Albanian Super League. It's just going to stoppage time at the end of the game between Ignatia and Skenderbao. It's 1-0 to the home side in that game. That's bringing you up to date with everything that's going on all around the football world here on Football Live. Coming up later on today, we've got a big game at St James's Park. Newcastle taking on Manchester City. There's a penalty shout in the game in Spain. We are just checking on a potential penalty for the home side in that one. It's for handball. Reports seemingly that it's got to be given in that game. Meanwhile, let's just check back into Stamford Bridge. Fulham really pressing now to try and find this equaliser, Billy.
They are indeed, and Enzo Fernandez is going to be careful he doesn't get a second yellow card for dissent here. He's been what he feels to be fouled a couple of times in the last few moments. Just thrown his arms up in the air as if to disagree with the referee's decision. We have seen what happened to Diogo Dalot at Anfield, where he got sent off for 2 acts of dissent in a matter of moments. But Fulham are pressing. They've only got running out of time. Sands is falling away from this hourglass, but it's still 1-0 to Chelsea. Stamford Bridge.
So thank you very much for that, Billy. Penalty not given in that game between Las Palmas and Villarreal. We'll hear about that shortly, but let's go and hear about that second Coventry goal from Patrick Norrit.
Yeah, it was a great goal, actually. It was a corner from the right-hand side for Coventry. They headed it out, but it ended at the feet of Milan Van Buick on the volley, sweet volley, back on the goal. 90 gone. It is Coventry 2, 10 men, Leicester 1.
Leicester got about 4 minutes or so of injury time to try and find an equaliser now, and it looks like they're going to go back, to suffer defeats, a rare defeat for them this season. It'll be just their fourth defeat of the season, and it would open the door for Ipswich, who have been struggling in recent weeks to close the gap on the league leaders. And of course, Southampton and Leeds are there to pounce as well to close the gap on runaway league leaders Leicester City. Coventry 2, Leicester 1 is the latest score. Let's go and hear about that penalty non-decision in Spain. Mark Thomas.
Yes, it was a handball. That's what they were looking for, but they wasn't given. Firmino, who'd only just come on the field, can you believe it? His first action was to get away with that, and get away with it he did. Everybody was crying out for the penalty from the Cardozo cross. It wasn't given after VAR check. There's been 2 substitutions for Villarreal. You knew that manager Marcelino had to make his Sorloth, the Norwegian international, has come on for Altamira. Morales is out as well for the aforementioned Firmino. It's still, after 58 minutes, 2-0 to Las Palmas, but it looks as if Villarreal are pushing.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Mark. There'll be 5 additional minutes at Stamford Bridge. 5 minutes for Fulham to try and find an equaliser. Potentially, maybe one of their ex-players, Willian, could be the man to pop up. Of course, he did score against them in the fixture that was played near enough a year ago today. But it was at the other end where Chelsea almost extended their lead, Billy Andrews.
They did indeed, but it's a fantastic save from Bernd Leno. It's Noni Madueke with the chance. He gets the back heel from Conor Gallagher, who has been fantastic today, it must be said. It's only, if it wasn't for Cole Palmer, he would have been my pick for man of the match, Conor Gallagher. But a lovely left-footed shot from Madueke, low down to his left-hand side from Bernd Leno to keep it and gather it first time. Cole Palmer and Madueke coming again, but cleared up by Issa Diop, where they're pushing still, but if they keep pushing, they're going to leave themselves open at the back. 1 minute into injury time, 1-0 to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge.
Still one of Chelsea, and you can just see Fulham really pressing, and Chelsea could well pick them off on the break. Bernd Leno, of course, Fulham goalkeeper, former Arsenal goalkeeper, and he was the man that came up with the goods to prevent Chelsea, Arsenal's rivals, of course, extending their lead. But one team that have extended their lead are Coventry City.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And the gloss has seemingly been added on a deserved third goal for the home side. Callum O'Hare gets his second of the game. A player that used to play in the same youth team as £100 million man Jack Grealish at Aston Villa has scored his second goal for their Midland rivals Coventry City, as they look to have surely secured all 3 points against league leaders Leicester City. So Coventry 3, Leicester City 1 is the latest score. We're in the 5th minute of added time in that game. 4 were given by the 4th official going into that one. Let's go and hear about that third goal from Patrick Norrett.
I'll tell you where every goal has gone so far. Coventry's a wonderful goal. This time was the right-hand side. They took him to the box. O'Hare took the ball into the box. He took a shot. He ricocheted one of his players on the volley. Left foot, bottom corner. What a wonderful goal. 94 gone. It is now Coventry 3, Leicester 1. All the points to Coventry.
Certainly all the points for Coventry indeed. Chelsea getting involved in a bit of game management with some changes in this one, Billy Andrews.
Bit of game management and a lovely moment for the young Chelsea youth prospect, Gil Christie. He comes on to replace Cole Palmer, the man of the match this afternoon. And also Carney Chukwuemeka, back from injury, former Aston Villa youngster. He's come on to replace Gusto, just to protect that red card. So, game management from Poch. This game, all but one, I think, for Chelsea as we go into the last 2 minutes of added time. Fulham not really offering much anymore, just trying to pump it long up to Jimenez, but Thiago Silva and Azazi have that covered. It's still 1-0 to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge.
Still 1-0 to Chelsea. I can tell it's finished in the games in Coventry and Leicester. Coventry 3, Leicester 1, a full-time score. But there's been a third goal in Spain.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And Rodriguez has doubled his tally to make it Las Palmas 3, Villarreal 0. What a stunning result this would be for Las Palmas. They've had back-to-back defeats, tight defeats in recent games to Barcelona, Atletico Bilbao, who are 3rd and 4th in La Liga respectively. They're back to winning ways, surely, leading by 3-0 as things stand in La Liga. Back to the game at Stamford Bridge. A free kick for Fulham in a really good area and a really good chance potentially for Fulham to get back into it, Billy Andrews.
Well, this would be last chance saloon for Fulham. It's a cheap foul given away by Ben Chilwell. The man has only just come back from injury. It's a chance for Fulham to crowd the box. Leno stayed up, but a chance for Willian to flood the box and get a good ball in. It's won and blocked on the line. Fantastic chance for Fulham to try and get something from this game, but Chelsea have cleared it, and you would say that would probably be the last chance for Fulham in this game. Chelsea hanging on by the skin of their teeth. Still 1-0 at Stamford Bridge.
Chelsea certainly hanging on, but potentially they could break at the other end and really seal this game. Seconds remaining, you feel. Let's go and hear about that goal in Spain. Las Palmas 3, Villarreal 0. Mark Thomas.
Yes, all over except the shouting now here. 3-0. Park, who just came on as a substitute. He's on loan from Real Madrid to Las Palmas right now. Had a scintillating run through the middle. He put the ball off to Munoz, went down the right-hand side, came in from the touchline, crossed it. In came the charging captain, Kieran Rodriguez, to get his second goal of the game. Looks like there's no way back for Villarreal. They have been very, very poor. They've made a couple of substitutions. As I mentioned, Sorloth has come on, but they just can't get the ball to him. Las Palmas scoring 3 goals for the very first time this season, and they look well on their way to those 3 points. It is Las Palmas 3, Villarreal 0.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Mark. We're into the 7th minute of added time at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 1, Fulham 0. Fulham with another opportunity with a dangerous free kick, and they've piled everybody forward for it as well. Full time in the game between Coventry and Leicester City. Coventry 3, Leicester City 1. Let's go and hear how that game transpired with our very own Patrick Norett.
Let me just take a breath. Right, what happened in the first half, we know. It happened in the last 3 minutes where there was a penalty awarded to Leicester, and Dewsbury Hall made the penalty, took the penalty himself, made it 1-0. And then some bad tackle from Fatimu saw him sent off on the 45th minute. The second half, I would say, evens until O'Hare stepped up and scored a wonderful goal in the box, made it 1-1. And then Coventry attacked. And then Van Winkle on the 88th minute on the volley from a corner made it 2-1 to Coventry. It wasn't finished on the 90th minute. O'Hare went on a run in the box, took a shot, it ricocheted up in the air, a left foot volley made it 3-1. So it finished with Coventry 3, Leicester 1.
Thank you very much. So a shock defeat for the league leaders there. It's all over at Stamford Bridge. Billy Andrews.
A more entertaining for the second half than we had the first 45 minutes, but no goals in that second half. Just the one goal, the penalty from Cole Palmer after Raheem Sterling was tripped by Issa Diop in that first half. But Conor Gallagher hit the post with a lovely outside the foot effort. Fulham pressed, but they couldn't beat Petrovic in the Chelsea goal, possibly a new long-term goalkeeper for Chelsea. Chelsea, though, back to winning ways. After a loss midweek to Middlesbrough, they'll have to try and overturn that in the return leg at Stamford Bridge in a couple of weeks' time. But it finished at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 1, Fulham 0.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Billy. That's Mauricio Pochettino's 3rd consecutive Premier League victory, the first time he's achieved that as manager of Chelsea, and it's the home sides and the home fans singing blue is the colour. I can tell you that Salernitana are taking the lead away at Napoli in what could be a shock in Serie A. It's time now to hand back to FJ and the team. We'll see you for part 2 at 6:30. You are listening to Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Well, thank you, FJ, and a very warm welcome back to this special Football Live powered by NaraBet. Part 1 was full of drama as we saw Chelsea, Coventry and Las Palmas come out on top. 3 home wins from 3. This evening, will it be Newcastle and Darmstadt to follow in our featured games? Well, first up, let's head to St James's Park where Newcastle host Manchester City. 2 of last season's top 4, with City, of course, finishing champions for the 3rd year in a row as part of a historic treble. Fast forward to this season, Newcastle, ravaged by injuries, find themselves 10th, 11 points of 4th place. Meanwhile, Manchester City have recently added the World Club Cup to their European Super Cup and are currently in 3rd place, just 5 points behind leaders Liverpool, albeit with a game in hand. What will happen at St James's Park? Well, let's join Jack Hesson to get the team news as the game's just kicked off there. Good afternoon, Jack.
Good afternoon to you, Dean. Yeah, we've just kicked off at St James's Park in a game where Eddie Howe could really do with a win. Just 2 wins and 8 in the league, and he's off the back of 3 straight losses. They make 1 change from the 4-2 league defeat to Liverpool the other weekend, as Joe Linton, injured against Sunderland last weekend, is replaced by Almiron. As for title chasers City, they could jump up to 2nd place with a win, 2 points behind leaders Liverpool. They make 2 changes from their 2-0 win over Sheffield United, with Dias replacing Akanji and Doku replacing Grealish. The big news, Erling Haaland still out, expected to be out to the end of the month with an ankle injury, but Kevin De Bruyne is on the bench. Just run through the full lineup for City then. Ederson starts in goals, a backline of Guardiola, Ake, Dias and Walker. Midfield 2 of Rodri and Kovacic, an attacking midfield 3 of Doku, Phil Foden and Bernardo Silva. Julian Alvarez leading the line. Eddie Howe is yet to get a win in the Premier League against Manchester City in 15 Premier League games. He could do one this evening, but it should be a good game. 1 minute in, and it's still Newcastle 0, Man City 0.
Thank you very much, Jack. Well, I can tell you the ball has also just hit the back of the net at St James's Park with the flag.
The goals, powered by NaraBet.
But the flag was raised. VAR going to have a check on this one. But Newcastle thought they'd taken the lead inside 2 minutes at St James's Park. But the offside flag was immediately raised by the assistant referee. A dramatic start at St James's Park. Whilst VAR check that, let's go and check in on our game in the Bundesliga. The Bundesliga, of course, returned from its winter break last night with Bayern Munich securing a 3-0 win over Hoffenheim. But the pressure by Leverkusen, they in turn responded with a 1-0 win away at Augsburg earlier today. Our focus, though, is at the other end of the table as Darmstadt, who are rock bottom, host 6th place Borussia Dortmund. Paul James is at the Merck Stadion and Bellenfator to give us the latest team news, featuring a place on the bench for the returning Jadon Sancho. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, yes. 2 changes for Darmstadt. Mateusz Malinka comes in for Thomas Isherwood. Klaus Jalusa is out and replaced by Fabian Holland. 2 changes forced on Borussia Dortmund. Rami Banas-Bani is in AFCON with Algeria, so Ian Matson comes in and makes his debut. And Salih Oshkan replaces the Max Hummels, who is ill. Darmstadt versus Borussia Dortmund.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much. I'm sure we'll be back to you throughout the afternoon. VR still checking the offside at St James's Park. Meanwhile, there's a bit of an injury concern, potential injury for Ederson. Whilst we are clearing that up, let's return to St James's Park. Let's get back to Jack and just clear up exactly the craziness that was in that first couple of minutes there.
Yeah, Newcastle had what looked like an almost perfect start. Kieran Trippier from his own back line plays a great ball in and over the top to beat the entire Man City defence. Isaac running in on goal. He's got Longstaff in the middle, manages to find Longstaff in the middle, and Longstaff with an easy finish puts the ball in the back of the net. In the process of doing that, he did clatter right into Ederson, who was trying to come out to meet the ball, and Ederson still down at the moment. I'm not too sure if they're still looking at the VAR while this injury is taking place, but it did look like it was going to be marginally offside potentially from Isaac, and Ederson still down. The substitute goalkeeper for City will be Stefan Ortega, will be warming up at the moment, and they're still checking at the moment. So if you want to come back to me, 4 minutes played, it's still Newcastle 0, Man City 0.
Yeah, absolutely will do, Jack. Just seeing Ederson just being held to his feet. He's not moving very freely, and they can't take a risk at the back. They've already been completely done with a simple ball over the top by Kieran Trippier, a man who, as a youngster, used to play for Manchester City, no less. And I can tell you the VAR check is over. Offside, as we suspected, or certainly as Jack suspected, was the verdict. Let's just check back in at St James's Park. Do you feel that's the right call there, Jack? It was marginally offside.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones. They got to a decision, I think, fairly quickly. There was just a bit of ambiguity because obviously Ederson went down injured. I think they would have started the play a bit quicker had it not been the case. Ederson is back up on his feet now. He's limping a little bit, so I don't know if Guardiola will maybe look at potentially bringing on Ortega anyway to protect Ederson. We'll await and see at the moment if that's the case. But at the moment, it's still 5 minutes played. Newcastle 0, Man City 0.
Well, thank you very much. I can tell you that Ederson's just sat himself down, holding his knee, and the change will happen. So Ederson's evening has lasted barely 6 minutes from that challenge earlier on. Of course, the big game, the big team news coming from Germany in the Bundesliga. Jadon Sancho returning to Borussia Dortmund, has a place on the bench here this evening. Let's go straight back to St James's Park and another chance for the home side.
Yeah, and it was off the back of Ederson. Man City trying to pass it along the back. Ederson takes the ball in his control. Almiron pressing in towards him, and he hits the ball right off Almiron, and it almost falls back into the path of Anthony Gordon, who would have had a clear chance on goal had he got possession of it. But yeah, City getting away with one there. Ederson down still at the moment, and it looks like he'll be coming off soon. 6 minutes played. It's still Newcastle 0, Man City 0.
Well, John, we're in the early goings on at St James's Park. I can tell you there are games elsewhere across Europe and, of course, across in international competition. The Asian Cup is underway. Of course, earlier on, we heard about Australia beating India by 2-0. Currently, Uzbekistan 0, Syria 0 is the latest score. Just 6 minutes gone in that game. In Ligue 1 in France, Monaco 1, Reims 2 is a latest score. A bit of a shock there. Monaco looking to push up into second place. Reims a few places below them in the table, trying to push for that Europa League place when it's the visitors that are leading by 2-1 in that game. In Serie A in Italy, Verona 1, Empoli 0 is a latest score. And I should also just check into the English Championship. Ipswich 0, Sunderland 0. That game kicked off slightly later. Ipswich, of course, trying to capitalise on Leicester's defeat away at Coventry City earlier this afternoon that we covered on Football Live. I can tell you Ederson has walked off the pitch and he's gone straight down the tunnel. Meanwhile, let's get the latest odds powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, all the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, the Premier League is still 0-0 after 7 minutes, even though Newcastle did put the ball in the back of the net, but it was disallowed. Newcastle just gone down to 4.20. The draw is 4.0. And an away win for Manchester City is 1.83. If you're looking for some goals in that game, if you think it's going to be over 2.5 goals, is 1.73. If you think it's over 3.5 goals, is 2.80. As for scorelines, if you think Man City will win by 2-1, they're 8.0. 3-0 for Man City is 13.0. And if Newcastle will win 2-0, they are 23.0. As for first goal scorers, Anthony Gordon, he's 11.0. Alexander Isaac, he's 7.0. Auto score for the first goal, of course. And Jack Grealish, he's 9.0. There's some other games happening as well. As Dean mentioned, Monaco are losing at home to Reims by 2-1. And the odds are favouring Reims just about. They're 1.44 for the win. The draw is 3.60, and a home win for Monaco is 13.0. Verona against Empoli is 1-0 for Verona after 37 minutes. Verona are 1.53 for the win. The draw is 3.80 and just gone up for Empoli to 8.0. 1.0. Asian Cup, Uzbekistan against Syria. It kicked off about 9 minutes ago. Still 0-0. Uzbekistan, they are 1.50 for the win, 3.50 for the draw, and 6.50 for a Syria away win. The German Bundesliga, the game we're concentrating on, Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 0. Darmstadt at home, they are 4.50 for the win, 4.33 for the draw, and Dortmund are favourites for that one at 1.70. So just quickly go back to the Manchester City game. Newcastle at home, they are 4.0 now. The draw is 3.80, and finally Manchester City are 1.85. Of course, all these odds from NairaBet, and they're all subject to change.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, John. Give us the latest odds powered by NairaBet, and just giving you up to date with some of the other scores going on. I forgot to mention in La Liga, the game is kicked off there. It's about 8 minutes gone. Atletico Bilbao 0, Real Sociedad 0. Their latest scores. So no goals in any of the games. It kicked off at 6:30 local time, our time, and just bring you up to date with some of the results from earlier on, just whilst we've got a little break in place. So we mentioned the Asian Cup, Australia 2, India 0. Was the game that we were featured here on Football Live. Irvine and Boss with the 2 goals to give Australia the victory in that game. Whilst we were off air, China played out a 0-0 draw at home to Tajikistan, so that was goalless. It's currently goalless. Uzbekistan 0, Syria 0, as you just heard with our very own John Kane. I can tell you that Manchester City are piling the pressure on Newcastle now, and they have brought Ortega on for Edison. That's a confirmed change. Let's go and check in right now and just hear about that change with Jack Hassan.
Yeah, just to confirm that change, Ortega is on, Ederson off. It did look like he took a sore one from Longstaff as Longstaff took his shot into that ultimately offside ruled goal. It will be a while for Manchester City depending on how long Ederson could be out. Ortega, he's more of a cup keeper, doesn't start in the Premier League, just 3 Premier League appearances last season, and of course, if you remember, here at St James's Park in the League Cup earlier on in the season, he did start in that 1-0 win for Newcastle over Manchester City, so a bit of hope for Newcastle, but Man City dominating possession at the moment and just being patient with their play to look for that first chance on goal. 11 minutes played, it's still Newcastle 0, Manchester City 0.
Jack, just whilst we've got you there, just looking at the team news, of course, Haaland missing yet again, possibly out to the end of the month. The report we mentioned earlier on the show mentioned he's the second most valuable player, or the highest rated transfer player in world football, behind Jude Bellingham. You think they've got Kevin De Bruyne just, coming back from injury on the bench here this afternoon. How big a miss is Haaland for this Manchester City team?
Yeah, I think it remains to be seen. Obviously, he didn't play in that game against Sheffield United and they won by 2 goals to 0. Alvarez is a great striker himself, but he isn't Erling Haaland, and I think it maybe changes the way that Manchester City set up, the way they play. They look less focused on going towards a main central striker and look to try and build it up for the team. A bit like how they played when Gabriel Jesus was the man leading the line for him, but you will miss his goals, and I think in big games like this, Newcastle, they're not in great form, but they've still got a great team. They've still shown danger, especially this season, to the teams high up the league. So they've got to just be careful, Manchester City, and if they can get Alvarez scoring goals, then not to say that they won't miss Haaland, but it might make it a bit easier to cope without him, and especially the fact you mentioned Kevin De Bruyne coming back. I suspect they'll take their time getting him back into the game, but as soon as he's firing in again, then he'll look like more of the outfit that we've seen from them last season.
Absolutely. Superstars all over the pitch where you look at this Manchester City team. We'll be back at St James's Park, I'm sure, very, very shortly with the way this game has started. Let's just bring you up to date with some of the scores from earlier on. Chelsea 1, Fulham 0 was a full-time score we covered right here earlier on Football Live. Cole Palmer coolly taken penalty in added time in the first half, the difference between the two teams. In the English Championship, the game we covered, Coventry 3, Leicester City 1. Leicester City, the league leaders, took the lead just on the stroke of half-time against the run of play. Then we reduced to 10 men, literally about a minute or so later. Fatawu seeing red deep in stoppage time in the first half there. The turnaround started with O'Hare's goal with just 10 minutes from time before Van Uwijk scored 2 minutes from time. And then O'Hare got his second of the afternoon to secure a 3-1 victory for Coventry City. In the 4 o'clock kickoffs in the English Championship, it finished Birmingham City 2, Swansea City 2, Cardiff City 0, Leeds United 3. So Leeds United capitalising on that defeat by Leicester City from against Coventry. Huddersfield 1, Plymouth 1 was a full-time score. Millwall 1, Middlesbrough 3. So Middlesbrough follow up that impressive victory over Chelsea in the Carabao Cup semi-final with a big victory in the league away at Millwall. The New Den, not an easy place to go at all. Preston North End 2, Bristol City 0, Rotherham 0, Stoke City 1, Southampton 4, Sheffield Wednesday 0. Sheffield Wednesday's season is going from bad to worse. And West Bromwich Albion 4, Blackburn Rovers 1 was a big shock in the Black Country. Blackburn Rovers on form, well, they were absolutely torn apart by this West Bromwich Albion team. Let's go straight back to St James's Park, where there was a glimmer of a chance for the away side, Jack.
Yeah, I think Phil Foden could have done better there. Ultimately, good defending from Newcastle. Some patient play in and around the box. Broke through Phil Foden, advancing towards the 6-yard box. He takes the ball to the byline, tries to cut it back across the face of goal where Alvarez was there, but it was well dealt with by Sven Botman. And then just a chance there. Almiron cutting across all the way into the box to Isaac. Isaac almost getting there, but good defending from Manchester City just as you get to make there. So 15 minutes played. Chances coming for both sides now, but we're waiting for that first big chance of the game. It's still Newcastle 0, Manchester City 0.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jack. Eddie Howe, just got a glimpse of him there with his head in his hands, and that missed opportunity for Newcastle United. You have to feel that Newcastle need to take their chances. They may well tire as the game goes on. It's just pausing there as Manchester City go on a break at the other end and almost take the lead themselves. It's really end-to-end at St James's Park. In Ligue 1 in France, Monaco 1, Reims 2. It's the latest score into the final minute in there. Just after we're off the air, Rennes take on Nice as the French league returns from its winter break. We mentioned last night Bayern Munich's 3-0 win over Hoffenheim saw them close the gap on league leaders by Leverkusen. Well, that was until this afternoon's games finished. Augsburg 0 by Leverkusen 1 was a full-time score. Leverkusen getting their winner late on. It was a 94th minute winner by Palacios. So nervy times for the visitors, but they maintain their 4-point gap at the top of the Bundesliga. Let's go straight back to St James's Park, where Manchester City create yet another chance, Jack.
Yeah, as you mentioned, a really great break there from Manchester City. Newcastle couldn't keep possession in the middle of the park, picked up by Phil Foden. Foden to Rodri. Rodri plays an excellent threaded the needle pass towards Doku on the left-hand side. Doku advancing towards the box. He's got Newcastle United players all around him, but he manages to find Kovacic advancing into the box. Kovacic's poor touch led to Bernardo Silva, and Bernardo Silva's shot went well over the bar. So chances now coming for City, but this is a really end-to-end game at the moment. 17 minutes played. It's still Newcastle 0, Manchester City 0.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jack. Manchester City controlling the ball, as you'd expect. 64% possession in the opening 17 minutes of this game. But Newcastle certainly creating chances, or at least half chances, of their own. Back to the Bundesliga. Finished FC Köln 1, Heidenheim 1, Freiburg 0, Union Berlin 0, Mainz 1, Wolfsburg 1, and RB Leipzig 0. Eintracht Frankfurt 1 was a bit of a shock in the Bundesliga. Not many goals, a bit lackluster as the German teams return from their winter break. But the game we're featuring that's happening right now is about 20 minutes old. It's Darmstadt versus Dortmund, and our man covering all things is Paul James. Paul, what's been going on in the early stages there?
Well, an early booking for Jamie Boyne and Gittins for a trip, but really that's about as much as it's got. Both teams are cancelling each other out at the moment. Very limited chances all round. And really the best chance that fell was across to the back post, which Tobias Kempe for Darmstadt just got on the end of, but wasn't able to control it and finish it. It went wide of the target. So still 0-0, Darmstadt versus Borussia Dortmund.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Paul. Waiting for our first goal in Germany, as we are waiting for our first goal in the Premier League game between Manchester City, Newcastle United and Manchester City. In Italy, in Serie A, we had two games going on as we went off air, went back to the studio in Lagos. It finished Genoa 0, Torino 0. But as we went off air, Salernitana took the lead against Napoli. Well, Napoli came back and won that game by 2-1. Politano scoring deep into added time in the first half before Romani scored in the 96th minute. So goals in stoppage time in both halves for Napoli saw them come from behind to take all 3 points at home to Salernitana. Napoli climb up to 6th in the table. They leapfrog Atalanta and Lazio in the table, and they now sit just a point behind Bologna in 5th and just 2 points behind Fiorentina in 4th. Fiorentina, of course, hold that final Champions League place. As for Salernitana, well, they remain rock bottom of Serie A with just 12 points from 20 games now played. It's currently still Verona 1, Empoli 0. That's now a half-time score. Juric's 3rd-minute goal at the difference between the two sides there. In the Eredivisie in Holland, Sittard 0, Sparta Rotterdam 2 was a full-time score. Mito scoring in the half-hour mark for the home side before Martino scored a second just after the restart to give the visitors all 3 points in the round 17 of the Eredivisie. It's just kicked off between Twente and AZ Alkmaar 0-0, as you'd expect, inside a minute there. So let's go back to Germany, where there's been a chance for the visitors and Darmstadt versus Dortmund. Here's Paul James.
Well, it's a lively start by Ian Matson. He gets down the left-hand side and he manages to get the cross in, and Julian Brandt gets on the end of it and forces a good save from Marcel Schumann. And early on here, Dortmund just trying to apply some pressure on Darmstadt, but it's still Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 0.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Paul. And straight back to St James's Park, where there hasn't been a chance, but there has been a card, Jack.
Yeah, first booking of the game, it's on Newcastle's midfielder Bruno Guimaraes. A really aggressive tackle just right in the middle of the park. Manchester City playing keep ball at the moment, holding on to possession. Rodri right in the middle of the park, and Guimaraes just goes right through him. It's a deserved booking, you have to say that, but yeah, it really not within the pace of the game either. Strange decision for Guimaraes to go for that, but perhaps just some frustration at how Manchester City are keeping possession at the moment. 21 minutes played, it's still Newcastle United 0, Manchester City 0.
Yes, thank you very much, Jack. The game really has settled down now after that very fast start. Manchester City completely controlling the tempo and the dictating the game, as you would expect the champions to do. We'll just bring you up to date with the NPFL, the Nigerian Premier League. There were 4 games today. There was supposed to be 5, but Heartland versus Kwara was postponed. It finished Abia Warriors 3, Doma United 0, Enugu Rangers 4, Gombe 1, Plateau United 1, Ayimba 0, and Sunshine Stars 0, Niger Tornadoes 0. Those results today see Remo Stars remain top of the table, level on points with Lobi Stars, 32 points apiece from their opening 17 games. Plateau United up to 3rd in the table, just a point behind them. Doma United also just remain a point off the top as well, 31 points from them from 18 played. Down at the other end of the table, Bielsa United, rock bottom, 14 points from their 17 games. Heartland, Sporting Lagos and Rivers United are the other teams that make up the bottom 4 in those relegation places in the MPFL. In the Liga, Las Palmas 3, Villarreal 0 was the game we were covering here on Football Live. Rodriguez opening the scoring inside 8 minutes before Herzog scored shortly after half-time. Rodriguez added his second on the hour mark. Convincing victory for Las Palmas, whose impressive season continues for Villarreal. It's back to the drawing board for them. It's a really, really poor outcome for them. Meanwhile, in Germany, there's been a goal.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
They were knocking at the door and they finally broke it down. Julian Brandt scoring for the visitors. It's Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 1. Let's go and hear about it with Paul James.
Yes, it was a brilliant run by Jamie Boyner-Gittins. He gets over the halfway line and plays a beautiful pass here to Julian Brandt. And Julian Brandt just calmly slides it under the goalkeeper Marcel Schumann to give Borussia Dortmund the 1-0 lead here. It's Dortmund 0, Dortmund 1.
Brilliant stuff. So the visitors leading there by a goal. So I can also tell you there has been another goal in Ligue 1. Monaco 1, Reims 3 is the latest score, and deep into added time, Metoiswa has added a third for the visitors to make it Monaco 1, Reims 3. I can also tell there's been a goal in the Eredivisie, a very early goal. Twente 0, AZ Alkmaar 1. Odegaard with the goal inside 5 minutes for the visitors to give them the lead at Twente. So goals going in all around the grounds on football. I can also tell it's full time now. Monaco 1, Reims 3 is a full time score. So just a bit of interesting news from earlier on in League One in England. There were 11 matches scheduled this afternoon, but only 9 of them finished. I'm going to break away from there because there's been a goal at St James's Park.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's the visitors that have taken the lead. The dominance has finally come to fruition as the ball has hit the back of the net. Kieran Trippier surrounding the referee, Chris Cavan, a couple of other black and white shirts there as well. Dan Burn not happy at all. The ball is in the back of the net, but Manchester City have the lead. And it's just, well, I don't say it's kicking off. It's not kicking off, but potentially Jack Hesson can bring us up to speed.
Well, Bernardo Silva take a bow. Doku in the middle of the park, switch the ball towards Kyle Walker, and so much space on the right-hand side. Kyle Walker plays the ball across into the box. Silva's there, and he back heels it. He takes a flick onto it and flicks it towards the goal and beats Dubrovka. Dubrovka with absolutely no chance. What a finish from Silva. Newcastle players are up at the moment. It's difficult to see from the goal initially what it was that they are complaining about. As I mentioned, a really good finish from Silva. The ball towards Walker, Walker into the box, and we'll wait to see really what exactly the Newcastle United players were complaining about with that goal. 26 minutes played, it's now Newcastle United 0, Manchester City 1.
Yeah, I can't see anything they're complaining about apart from how good a finish that was from Bernardo Silva. Absolute quality from the Manchester City maestro. Little back heel. It's one that you'll see kids recreating down the playgrounds, in the fields, all around in their spare time, whenever they've got a ball at their feet. It was a thing of absolute beauty. I can tell you the goal is standard. We've resumed. I don't think VR even checked it. Well, they check every goal, but I don't think there was anything they were particularly checking in that game. So just to confirm, in case you missed it, it finished Monaco 1, Reims 3. That was the full-time score in Ligue 1. Later on this evening, Rennes take on Nice after we have gone off the air. I was just telling you about the strange situation in Ligue 1 in England. 11 matches were due to take place today, but only 9 of them finished. There was a medical emergency in the game between Bolton and Cheltenham that saw that game postponed. Then Reading versus Port Vale was called off after the Reading fans stormed the pitch, causing the game to be postponed. They've got a big protest going on against the owners there, the way the club is run, and that ultimately caused that game to be postponed. So of 11 matches to take place in League One in England, only 2 finished. Well, just let's go back to St James's Park just to try and clear up, Jack. You think you may have got to the bottom of why the Newcastle players, should say, were so irked with that Manchester City goal?
Yeah, well, you could kind of tell with the kind of atmosphere in the ground from the instant. What happened was about a minute and a half, maybe up to 2 minutes before that, Anthony Gordon had the ball on the left-hand side. He tried to take a big touch to get past Diaz, and then Diaz and Gordon battling for the ball. Gordon went to the ground. Diaz kind of landed on him awkwardly. It took Gordon a couple of minutes to get up, but Newcastle United at the time felt like that should have been a foul, and I think that they were looking at that and they were annoyed at that because they believed that should have been a foul at that point in time, and then the goal would have never happened. But it was a good couple of minutes after that instant that the goal happened as well, so it just felt like a strange one really for Newcastle to complain about. Again, you can't take anything away from the finish from Bernardo Silva. What a goal. And as you mentioned, it's going to be one of the ones that you're going to see kids in the park doing all the time, practicing all the time, because it was just that kind of great finish from him. 28 minutes on the clock. It's Newcastle United 1, Man City 1.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
Join Corner Corner where the big boys play.
Secure an instant win with NairaBet when your team leads by 2 goals in the match. How many times has one of your betting selections had a meltdown after going 2 goals up? Don't stress. With our new 2 goals up market, if your selection goes 2 or more goals ahead at any stage in the match, then your selection will be settled as a winner, regardless of the final match result. Place your bets on the 2 goals up football market at www.nairabet.com. Include the 2 goals up selections in your bet slip with as many other selections as you want. For more details, check out our promotions page. Full terms and conditions apply. Must be over 18. Bets placed on the match winner market do not qualify. Market available on pre-match bets only. Please gamble responsibly.
OK, let's get Sean Dyche, the Everton manager, on the telephone. He's just lost 10 points.
Hello?
Sean, how can we improve Football Live?
If you want to get to the depth of real reporting, go around the Premier League and ask all of the Premier League management, and if they give you a boring answer, we'll drive down and we'll slap them with a wet fish.
Are you happy spending a whole day in a car with the Football Live crew?
All day. It'd be much more fun than you ask me about whether we're going to play a 4-4-2. And they go, yeah, he is. Sean Dyche is going to play a 4-4-2.
That is excellent news. Sean Dyche does like Football Live after all. Well, we didn't take the 10 points away from him, did we?
Tomorrow on Football Live, exclusive to Brila FM. Alex Guilford will take over as Football Live focuses on Old Trafford, where Manchester United take on Tottenham Hotspur. The Bundesliga is back too. Stuttgart go to Gladbach. And of course, it's AFCON, so we'll be right across the later kickoff between Mozambique and Egypt. There really is no football coverage quite like it. Join us tomorrow afternoon for a mouth-watering selection of top football action, live and exclusive on Brila FM, right here on Football Live.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Well, I can tell you there's been a goal in the Championship game, a potential another shock on the cards. It's Ipswich 0, Sunderland 1. Jack Clark, who's the protégé that's kind of forgotten his career, looking to get it back on track, has just scored his 13th league goal of the season to make it Ipswich Town 0, Sunderland 1 in the English Championship. And I can just bring in the latest. In fact, let's go and get the latest odds powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, all the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. Newcastle are losing at home by 1-0 after 32 minutes. The odds has gone down a bit slightly for Newcastle. They are now Newcastle at home to win. They are down to 10.0. The draw has gone down to 5.50, and Manchester City away win is 1.30. Borussia Dortmund leading away to Darmstadt by 1-0 as well. They are 1.33 for the win. The draw is 5.25, and for Darmstadt to turn it around, it's just gone down to 9.50. Verona and Empoli at half-time, still Verona 1, Empoli 0. Verona are 1.50 for the win. The draw is 4.0 and just gone up to Empoli to 8.50. Dean mentioned about the Dutch Eredivisie. 12 minutes gone, it's 20-0, AZ Alkmaar 1. However, Alkmaar are still favourites away from home. They are 2.25 for the win. The draw has just gone down to 3.50, and Twente are 3.0. And for Bilbao, after 30 minutes, it's Athletic Bilbao 1, Real Sociedad 0. And Athletic Bilbao are 1.36 for the win. The draw has just gone down to 4.50 and 11.0 for Real Sociedad to turn it around. Asian Cup, Uzbekistan and Syria, 33 minutes gone, still 0-0. Uzbekistan, they're 1.62 for the win. The draw is 2.80, and for Syria, just gone down to 7.0. Just quickly, on the Newcastle-Manchester City game. If you're interested in the goals, if you think it's going to be over 2.5 goals, is 1.44. If you think it's going to be over 3.5 goals, it's 2.40. However, straight away, the betting has been suspended. So all the odds are from NairaBet, subject to change, but the bet has been suspended, and we'll go back to...
We need to break away because there's been another goal at St James's Park.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Manchester City have been in control, they've been pressing and probing and prodding, but it's Newcastle that have got the equaliser to send St James's Park into raptures. It's Newcastle 1, Manchester City 1, and here to tell us all about it is Jack Hesson.
Out of absolutely nothing, but what a finish from Alexander Isak. Bruno Guimaraes in the middle of the park, Newcastle breaking on a counter-attack. City had too many players forward, they lost the ball too cheaply. Guimaraes playing the ball, a great ball up and over the Manchester City defence. Isak on the run, and Isak took it all the way towards the goal and curled it into the top left-hand corner. What a finish from the Swede. Looking at it there, well onside, the goal will stand, and Newcastle right back into this game now. It's 34 minutes played, Newcastle 1, Man City 1.
It's really interesting, Jack. Newcastle, when they get the ball, they just hold the ball up ever so slightly, just allowed particularly Isak to get onto the final man, and they're just lofting the ball over the top, and Manchester City don't seem to have a response to that kind of ball over the top. That's just the times when Newcastle can get the ball, of course, but it seems so simple.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in the first minute of the game. I think they were maybe actually unlucky in that first minute of the game when the ball from Trippier over to Isak, over the top. He was just offside. It was one of those ones where he really didn't need to be offside in the first place. He could have been onside. He would have still got the ball and would have still got the chance through. So they're struggling to deal with the balls over the top at the moment. And despite Manchester City having all the possession, having lots of space high up Manchester City's line, it still only feels like Newcastle are just a long ball away from getting chances in this game, and I suspect now that it's working for them that we'll start seeing that more in this game.
Absolutely. Well, time will tell. We're 1 apiece at St James's Park. Newcastle 1, Manchester City 1. A brilliant goal. Man City went straight at the other end looking to restore their lead, but here come Newcastle at the other end. As you heard, I'm going to say nothing more. Newcastle have scored again.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well, Newcastle have turned this game around. 2 goals in a matter of minutes, and it's Anthony Gordon who is celebrating in front of the home fans. Pep Guardiola looks bemused on the bench, but it's Newcastle that have the lead. It's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1. Anthony Gordon with the finish, and here to tell us about it once more is Jack Hesson.
Football is just such a simple game sometimes, and once again it's from Manchester City struggling to deal with the long balls. Kieran Trippier trying to play in Isak again. Ruben Dias takes the ball down, but it's such a poor touch. Newcastle get the ball back, play it towards Anthony Gordon. They're on the break, and Anthony Gordon just takes it all the way for a home run towards the box, advance into the box, and from the right hand side takes a great curling effort low into the bottom left-hand corner to beat Ortega, and Newcastle somehow are back in this game and leading this game. 37 minutes played. It's Newcastle 2, Man City 1.
Well, we said that Isak's goal was impressive into the top corner. That finish from Gordon was powerful, right into the side, it bent it right round. No way Ortega was going to reach that one. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1. What a turnaround for the Magpies. I was going to say that when we're getting the latest odds powered by NairaBet, we heard about Atletico Bilbao taking the lead against Real Sociedad. Berenga got that goal on the half-hour mark to give the home side the lead there. I can tell you there's been a second goal in the game between Ipswich and Sunderland at Portman Road. Jackson has equalised. Caden Jackson equalising for the host there. So Sunderland's lead did not last long. Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1 is a latest score. Let's go back to Darmstadt. Darmstadt, who are taking on Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund took the lead last time we heard. We're into the final 5 minutes of that first half. Any response from the team rock bottom of the Bundesliga?
Well, not really. The best chance has fallen to Tobias Kempe. Just before you arrived, actually, the cross came in on the near side from Luca Pfeiffer. And just down the right-hand side, the cross came in, it was ballooned over the crossbar. Nicholas Fulkrug got a penalty claim denied from a challenge inside the penalty area there by Malinka, but it is still Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 1.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Paul. So let's just bring you up to speed with the latest games, latest scores as they're going on. We're into the second half. Verona 1, Empoli 0. Latest score 5 minutes before the break in the Asian Cup. Uzbekistan 0, Syria 0. Latest score Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1. That turnaround, 2 goals in just a matter of minutes. So Newcastle take the lead for the second time this season. Of course, they beat them in the League Cup as well. Can they hold on to get 3 precious points in the Premier League here this evening? Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1. A later score, Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 1. Later score, Atletico Bilbao 1, Real Sociedad 0, and Twente 0. AZ Alkmaar 1 is a later score, but just 20 minutes gone in that game. We interrupted the latest odds powered by NairaBet to bring you news of that Newcastle equaliser. Let's rejoin John to get the latest odds as they stand right now.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, it's completely understandable to be interrupted. When there's goals, we'll go to the goals. Now, Newcastle, after I last spoke to them, they were leading Manchester City by 2-1 with 5 minutes to go till half-time. Newcastle now are slightly favourites. They're 2.25, but they're rising a bit. So they're 2.25. The draw has just gone down to 3.30. And Manchester City to win that game, they are 3.40. So you've got faith in Man City. That's a very good price indeed. Athletic Bilbao, they're leading at home against Real Sociedad by a goal to 0. Athletic Bilbao, they're 1.33 for the win, 4.75 for the draw, and 11.0 for an away win for Real Sociedad. I can tell you also, for the game that will concentrate on Germany, it's still Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 1. Borussia Dortmund just gone up slightly to 1.33. The draw is 5.25, and it's just gone up slightly for Darmstadt, who are playing at home, to 11.0. But just a reminder, on the Premier League game, Newcastle are 2.25. The draw is 3.30 and Manchester City are 3.30. And of course, if you're looking for goals, if you think it's going to be over 4.5 goals, it's 1.60. And if you think it's over 5.5 goals, it's 2.80. All these prices are from NairaBet and they're all subject to change.
Well, of course, John, I've covered Manchester City games on this show a couple of times this season. The first was that incredible draw against Chelsea, 4-4 in that game. The next week, of course, they took on Tottenham, and there was only just the 6 goals in that game. What odds would we get on a similar amount of goals in this game? With the way it started, you would not bet against it. But Newcastle, speaking of chances, very well could have had a third goal in this game, couldn't they, Jack?
You could argue that they really should have had a third there. Again, Manchester City caught on the break. Miguel Almiron picks the ball up in the middle of the park. He sees the run of Isaac, but the Manchester City defenders couldn't. They're sleeping at the moment. Almiron plays a great ball towards Isaac, splits the City defence. Isaac bearing down on goal, but it's just too much of a tight angle for him. He could have got the finish through, but it hit right off Ortega and out for a corner. So Manchester City getting away with one there, as they really have been defensively in this last 10 minutes or so. I don't know what exactly is going on with them at the back, because Newcastle just seem to get in every single time they're going forward now. 42 minutes played, it's Newcastle 2, Man City 1.
Absolutely. It's almost like a big cat with some prey just waiting for Manchester City to make a mistake. Newcastle are pouncing on any slight error from a Manchester City player. Let's go back to the game at the Marktstadion and Bollenfeld. Darmstadt taking on Dortmund. Dortmund already with the lead, but almost made it 2, didn't they, Paul James?
Yeah, that's correct. Nicholas Fulkrug got a header on the edge of the penalty area, and he dropped it down to Daniel Malen, who struck the shot, and it wasn't a million miles away. It beat the goalkeeper to his left-hand side, but it was the wrong side of the post as far as Dortmund are concerned. Still 1-0 to Dortmund.
Still 1-0 to Dortmund there. There's been another big chance at the game at St James's Park, and it's another big chance for the home side, Jack.
Yeah, and another defensive error from Manchester City. Ruben Dias spotted Gvardiol on the left-hand side, tried to play a long ball towards him, but Trippier was there to pick up. Trippier picks up the ball. He takes it all the way towards the right-hand side. He plays a great ball across, but nobody was there to meet it. So another let off for Manchester City in this game. 44 minutes played. It's Newcastle 2, Man City 1.
Well, it's just been a breathless first half at St James's Park. 44 or so minutes have gone by, have flown by so quickly. So to spring you up to speed, Verona 1, Empoli 0, 8 minutes into the second half in that game. In the Asian Cup, we're right on the stroke of half-time. Uzbekistan 0, Syria 0, a latest score. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1 is a latest score. End-to-end stuff, you can certainly see more goals in that game. Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1 is the latest score. Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 1, a featured game in the Bundesliga. It was Atletico Bilbao 1, Real Sociedad 0. Last we heard, well, no longer is that the case, as Bruninger scored his second of the afternoon to make it Atletico Bilbao 2, Real Sociedad 0. 2 goals for the striker. 2 goals in 12 minutes has seen them take a 2-goal lead over Real Sociedad just a couple of minutes before half-time there. And in the Eredivisie, Twente 0, AZ Alkmaar 1 is a latest score. So earlier on in the Premier League, we covered the big game between Chelsea and Fulham, the West London derby. Billy Andrews was our man in place at Stamford Bridge, and here's how he saw the game go down.
Chelsea hung on to a 1-0 lead to beat Fulham at Stamford Bridge. The home side, fresh off the back of defeat to Middlesbrough in the League Cup semi-final first leg, started the better of the two sides and had a host of half chances. The first clear chance came just after 20 minutes when an Enzo Fernandez cross was met by the head of Armando Broja, but he failed to hit the target, looking like a man with only 1 goal in 12 Premier League games. Just after the half-hour mark, Gusto went over the ball and caught Willian with his studs. Anthony Taylor brandished a yellow card and VAR agreed, despite the fullback being sent off for something similar away at Aston Villa earlier in the season. A breakthrough came just before half-time. Raheem Sterling was tripped by Issa Diop and Cole Palmer was there to put the penalty away to give Chelsea a 1-0 lead, his 5th penalty scored from 5 taken. The second half was more frantic, but no goals for either side. Conor Gallagher rattled the post with an outside-of-the-foot effort, and Raul Jimenez had a couple of shots saved by Petrovic in the Chelsea goal. Chelsea now up to 8th, Fulham still in 13th. It finished at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea 1, Fulham 0.
So there we are, Billy Andrews, our senior reporter, one of our senior reporters here on Football Live, covering all the action from Stamford Bridge, where it was a tepid first half. The second half certainly came to light. Fulham played their part, but as it is, they succumb to yet another defeat against Chelsea. Just 1 win in 26 or 2 in 45. Take your pick, but those are the stats that are quite worrying if you're a Fulham fan when it comes to taking on Chelsea. I can tell there's 8 minutes of added time in the game at St James's Park. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1. 3 minutes of added time in Germany. Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 1, a latest score. Let's go back to St James's Park, where it is just quite breathtaking, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah, it's been a great game so far. End-to-end stuff for the entire half. Newcastle look like they're the team that they've got the momentum now after when Manchester City scored initially. You thought that would be them, they would get in control of the game, but Newcastle took the game by the scruff of the neck, and look what's happened. They're winning by 2-1 in this game. They're on poor form at the moment. A win in this game would be absolutely massive, but I suspect that the goals aren't finished yet. With 47 minutes played, 8 minutes of added time, it's Newcastle 2, Man City 1.
Just interesting challenge there. Guimaraes is the player on the yellow card, of course, just the referee Chris Cavendish played advantage. You think he just thought about that and whether he was going to give a yellow card. Let's go and rejoin Jack Hesson just to get his take on it, as Guimaraes just actually goes down in a heap on the ground as well.
Yeah, that looked like it could have been really dodgy for Guimaraes there. He potentially considered himself lucky. The referee did see it. He did wave play on, and yeah, he just Rodri had the ball in the middle of the park. He played it away, and then Guimaraes just went in for a little bit after. Maybe Rodri made a bit of a meal of it, but still, when you're on a booking, you cannot run the line like that. And I suspect Eddie Howe will not be happy with him regarding that. 48 minutes on the clock. It's still Newcastle 2, Man City 1.
Absolutely. I've just seen a replay of that chance where it just was a bit late, just caught his studs on the top of Rodri's toes. Rodri has just been booked for a challenge back on Guimaraes. So he feels a bit hard done by on the exchange of that one. I can tell you, Verona have scored a second in their game at home to Empoli. Ngonga with the goal to make it 2-0. A brilliant goal. He managed to dribble through a couple of players before siding it into the back of the net to make it Verona 2, Empoli 0. That's adding to Juric's third-minute goal. Verona firmly in control in that game in Serie A. It's half-time in the game in Germany. Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 1 is the half-time score. Let's just to wrap up how that first half went. Let's go and join Paul James.
Yes, thank you. It's half-time. It's 1-0 to Dortmund. Chances really fell for Darmstadt, for Kempe, who struck wide from inside the penalty area. Pfeiffer also had an opportunity which he lifted over the crossbar, but the goal came on 23 minutes for a brilliant run from Jamie Bino Gittins, who slid the ball through to Julian Brandt, who calmly just tucked the ball into the net. And that is the difference between the two teams at half-time. It is Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 1.
Great stuff. We'll have all of the second half action as it happens with Paul James in that game. Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 1. The half-time score. It's half-time in the Asian Cup. Uzbekistan 0, Syria 0 is a half-time score. We're deep into added time in La Liga. Atletico Bilbao 2, Real Sociedad 0 is their latest score. There was a VAR check for all that second goal. Bilbao scored in that game. The goal, of course, given, and the goal stood, and the 2-goal lead certainly looks to be going into the break. Challenges are flying in for both sides at St James's Park, but they're just on the right side of the law, aren't they, Jack?
Yeah, just about. This game's getting a bit more aggressive as it goes on. You mentioned that one from Rodri earlier, just clearly a bit of frustration from the challenges that he's received from Guimaraes in this game. He also wasn't happy that he received a booking for giving a bit back, but it probably was a deserved booking. And yeah, this game, it's tensing up a bit, and I think, you know, that's just all we really need to just make it the perfect game of football, was just some tackles flying in and get some cards in as well. We've already got the goals, so we may as well. 51 minutes on the clock. It's still Newcastle 2, Man City 1.
Well, it's not just the Newcastle fans that will be celebrating should things stay the way they are. You'll be hearing some cheers from Liverpool, from Arsenal, potentially also from Aston Villa as well. 3 teams that are potentially in the title race with Manchester City. For Newcastle, it certainly puts them back on track for that Champions League place should they hold on to secure all 3 points. We're into the 7th minute of added time. 8 minutes were allotted, and Manchester City have a corner and have the potential chance to pull it back and level things before the break. I can tell you it is half-time in a game in the English Championship. Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1 is a half-time score. Sunderland took the lead. Jack Clark's 13th league goal of the season gave the visitors a shock lead at Portman Road. But Jackson equalised. That's Caden Jackson equalised for the home side, and it goes in all level at the break. It is half-time in Spain in the Liga. Atletico Bilbao 2, Real Sociedad 0 is the half-time score. Let's go and hear about how that corner played out, Jack Hesson.
Yeah, eventually dealt with by Newcastle, whipped in. Dubravka almost made a meal of it. He went to try and punch it away, fell down. The ball almost fell straight to Ake, but there was enough Newcastle players in and around for him to get up and recover. He was just down for a wee minute there, looking like he was holding his face, but he is back up now, and we're back playing. 52 minutes on the clock. It's Newcastle 2, Man City 1.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. We're into the last 30 seconds of added time at St James's Park. It's still 20-0. AZ Alkmaar 1. Of course, we should remember at the start of the game, Ederson got that injury as Newcastle put the ball in the back of the net inside 2 minutes. Ederson unable to continue in that game. But that's... Ederson, a superstar goalkeeper that he is, I don't think he'd have been able to keep up those efforts from Isak and from Anthony Gordon, which has seen Newcastle come from behind to take the lead. We shouldn't also mention that Bernardo Silva's exquisite finish set things off here at St James's Park. The half-time whistle has just blown. It is Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1 here at St James's Park. You are listening to Football Live.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Well, thank you very much to FJ and the team. You are, of course, listening to Football Live, powered by NeuroBet. And what a second part of the show we have got for you here. Currently, Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 1, and Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 1. It's just kicked off the second half in Germany. Let's get some news of some team change or some substitutions in that second half with Paul James.
Thank you very much. Yes, Matthias Bader has been taken off at half-time. Not because of an injury, by the looks of it. Looks like it's tactical, as Darmstadt look to bring on some extra attacking prowess in Oscar Wilhelmsen. So still Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 1.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Paul. Let's just get a half-time check-up on the game at St James's Park. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1. Newcastle looking for just their second win in 11 games. Of course, that one victory came this season in the League Cup. Here to break down that rather exciting first half for us is our very own Jack Hesson. How do you summarise that for us, Jack?
Yeah, what a first half. Manchester City dominated most of the possession, but Newcastle just looking like they've got that bit more going forward than Manchester City, who have been dominant, but they haven't made any of that dominance count. Of course, things didn't help the fact that Ederson got injured in the first couple of minutes of the game from that Newcastle disallowed goal, but when they took the lead with that excellent finish by Silva, you did think that they would get back into control in this game, barring that mad couple of minutes. On the 35th minute, Isaac's goal, and then on 37 minutes, Gordon's goal. Both great curling finishes. Isaac's to the top left-hand corner and Gordon's to the bottom left-hand corner. Really sums up how well Newcastle have actually played in that first half. You could look at possession and say they've only had 31% of the ball, but they've only needed 31% of the ball to match Manchester City's chances and currently beat them on goals. So it should be a great second half, a big second half, I think, as well for Julian Alvarez. We talked before the game how Erling Haaland was out. Could Alvarez step up? He didn't step up in that first half at all, and he'll need to step up to show Guardiola in the second half that he can be trusted to take over from Haaland. Manchester City players coming out just now. We're minutes away from kick-off of the second half. Newcastle 2, Man City 1 at the moment.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much. Jack will be with you as soon as the action kicks off in the second half. Meanwhile, let's check in with John Kane and get the latest odds powered by NeuroBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NeuroBet.
Yes, all the latest odds from NeuroBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. Just about to kick off in the second half between Newcastle and Manchester City. It's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1. Newcastle are slightly favourites. They're 2.25 for the win. The draw has just gone up to 3.25, and away win to Manchester City is 3.50. If you're interested in the goals, if you think it's going to be over 4.5 goals in the game, it's 1.60. If you think it's going to be over 5.5 goals, it's 2.75. Jack mentioned Alvarez. Of course, I'm just checking on his odds. He is 5.50 to score next. So Julian Alvarez, he is 5.50 to score next. That would be the third goal. There's some other games happening as well at the moment. In the Asian Cup, at 51 minutes gone, it's still Uzbekistan 0, Syria 0. Uzbekistan are 2.0 for the win. The draw is 2.10, and Syria to win is 7.50. Of course, that tournament is in Qatar. The Verona Empoli game is still 2-1 to Verona. But we've got about 12 minutes to go. Verona are 1.25 for the win. In fact, just gone down to 1.22. 5.25 for the draw and 29.0 for Empoli away win. Darmstadt, Borussia Dortmund, 5 minutes into the second half. It's still Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 1. Darmstadt are 13.0 to turn it around. The draw is 5.50 and Borussia Dortmund are 1.29 for the win. It's a half-time at Dutch Eredivisie between Twente and AZ Alkmaar. It's 1-1 there. Twente are 2.05 for the win. The draw is 2.75 and away win for Alkmaar is 5.0. Portuguese Primeira, 38 minutes gone between Chaves and Sporting Lisbon. It's still 0-0. Chaves are 10.0 to win at home. The draw is 4.0, and the Sporting Lisbon away win is 1.40. So just finally, to wrap up on the Premier League, just kicked off. It's Newcastle 2, Man City 1. Newcastle are 2.25 for the win. The draw is just gone down to 3.20, and away win for Newcastle is 3.50. All these prices are from NairaBet, and it's all subject to change.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, John. It has kicked off that second half at St James's Park. Newcastle 2, Manchester 1. But it's up to Germany once more, where the visitors are looking to extend their lead, Paul James.
Yes, an opportunity for Daniel Marlon. The two, Daniel Marlon and Jamie Bjarne-Gittins, combined well on the edge of the penalty area, but the shot was pulled wide by Daniel Marlon, and that was shortly after a supporter had gotten onto the pitch. Delayed things a little bit here, but Daniel Marlon wasn't able to make it 2-0, and it is still Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 1.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Paul. Just looking at the recent results between Newcastle and Manchester City, have taken that winner side in the League Cup. It's a pretty wretched record for Newcastle United in recent times, but historically there is not much between them. In the 191 games between the two teams, Newcastle United have won 74, Manchester City won 76. There's just been the 41 draws between the two teams, so quite an impressive record, or quite an even record between two big guns in the Premier League. You probably have to add Newcastle's name to the big guns of the Premier League, given the Saudi investments that they have. Although, of course, they have to adhere to the financial fair play rules, and there's been talk about them having to sell players due to their lack of revenue, lack of income. Of course, there's a way around that. Of course, they could sell a couple of players to the Saudi Pro League and loan them back. Maybe Guimaraes for 100 million. That would balance the books, I'm sure, for a little bit. I'm not sure if that would be allowed, but potentially that could happen. Who's to say they can't bend the rules? Let's go and check in with one of our football experts and our producer here, John Kane. I just want to check in with him because, of course, it's a big evening, a big day for the African Cup of Nations kicking off. FJ and the team were talking all about it during a break here, and we start with that big game between Ivory Coast and Guinea-Bissau at 9 o'clock this evening. What do you think the excitement is building? Is it there yet, or does it build as the competition goes on, do you think?
Yeah, I was listening to Tony, who was actually in Abidjan, and he's watching the first game of the tournament between the Ivory Coast and Guinea-Bissau, and it seems like everyone is excited. Even the president of the Ivory Coast is there already. He's been there about 2 hours before kickoff. So it seems like the carnival has just started already, you know, even before it kicks off. But it's going to be a big game for the Ivory Coast. They are playing the home soil for the tournament against Guinea-Bissau, so it's not going to be easy. And they are in the same group as Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea. So Ivory Coast, of course, they will have a good opponent in Nigeria. So a win today, well, every team wants to win, especially the home game and the first game of the tournament, but it's very important because they will be facing the good old Nigerians later on in the tournament. So the carnival has already started, and from listening on that interval between Tony and FJ, it seems like the carnival is already in.
And it's just the appetizer really for tomorrow, isn't it? Nigeria versus Equatorial Guinea, 3 o'clock kickoff. And you really need to start off strong, get those 3 points for the opening game. And that's kind of 1 foot into the next round, isn't it?
Yes, no, absolutely. It's a big game tomorrow for Nigeria against Equatorial Guinea. I mean, we were mentioning it last week about Nigeria. On paper, they are the best team. And last weekend, when I was presenting it, we gone through everyone to give their tips for the tournament, and a couple of just said Nigeria. But so many of us was just saying Nigeria probably got the best team on paper. It's just not clicking as how really Nigerians want them to be. And probably the manager, probably other issues, we don't know. But it's just not clicking as a team. If they click as a team, they'll be definitely, you would think they're the absolute favourites. And they're not favourites, it's Morocco is favourites on paper as well. But also to mention that Egypt tomorrow playing at 6 o'clock Nigerian time against Mozambique and Ghana. Who were last they were 15-1, so an outsiders, and been backed by a couple of people already from Football Live here. I think Patrick Moore was one of them, and someone else, I can't remember who. And they kick off tomorrow at 9 o'clock, and they're playing Cape Verde. But again, on paper, Ghana are a very, very good team as well, but they are more or less one of the outsiders for this tournament. And Morocco, understandably so, they are the favourites, especially after their great achievement, reaching the semi-finals in the World Cup in Qatar just over 12 months ago. So it is expected that Morocco will be favourites, but I don't think anyone would back in Morocco, if that makes sense, because you can look at some other teams and think, oh, they're actually slightly better. Especially the way Morocco played, it was very, very negative football, wasn't it? It was just trying to get the win and on the break. But they might be played a bit differently because they have got talented players. And Ashraf Hakimi, on his own from being a right back, but the amount of times we see him going forward, he's absolutely brilliant. And I think PSG will be missing him as well while he's actually in the AFCON.
Indeed. Well, there's a big knock-on effects, of course, across all of the big leagues around Europe, with players missing due to the African Cup of Nations. What I was going to ask you, there's always a surprise team. There's always a team that comes that you're not expecting to do well. Who's your dark horse? If you mentioned a couple of teams earlier on, but who would you say would, not necessarily to win, but to make a big impression on the tournament?
That's a very good question. There's quite a lot of good teams, like you mentioned, and my dark horse is going to be Tunisia. I think Tunisia is a very good team, and but they are under the radar at the moment. But they play very good football. They're not developed yet. They're not like as good as Morocco and all that. But we've seen it so many times when the favourites don't even win the tournament. So you start looking for dark horses. For me, my dark horse will be Tunisia. They're a very good side, quite well organised when I watched them last time. Their results has been quite good so far. They lost to Japan about a couple of months ago by 2-0, but Japan are a very good team, and that game was more or less, you've seen so many substitutions happening in that game, just more or less to give everyone a chance. But in general, I think my dark horse would be Tunisia, but I still think, like I said last week, I think Egypt will be crowned winners come the end of AFCON.
Well, there we go. We shall see. It all kicks off 9 o'clock, just a couple of hours away. The excitement is mounting, and we'll check back in with you on the 11th of February just to find out how well your predictions have gone there, John.
Well, I always try my best, but if I predicted I would be a millionaire by now, I have to admit, but I'm not really. So we'll wait and see. But it's definitely his good team to back, isn't it? I mean, Mo Salah on his own, and they've got quite a few players as well, isn't it? Who are actually known to the Premier League, and Trezeguet, who plays in Trabzonspor, I believe now, who's an ex-Aston Villa, and he's actually been on form. He scored the winner a couple of days ago, him and Mo Salah, in the last friendly game that they had last weekend. So that's my prediction, but never rule out Nigeria, never rule out Ghana. That's what I would say, because they both are very good teams.
Indeed. Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much. We will find out as it all kicks off in just a few hours' time at the African Cup of Nations. Meanwhile, we've got plenty of games going on right now. Let's go straight to St James's Park. Manchester City have been trailing at half-time 4 times this season. They've managed to come from behind and win 3 of those, losing that other game. How do you rate their chances coming back to this one in the opening 10 minutes, Jack?
Well, I don't think they could have picked a harder team to be trailing against. Maybe Aston Villa in the game that they lost. Newcastle, of course, coming into this game just conceding 7 goals at St James's Park in the league this season. That's now, of course, 8 with that bit of brilliance from Bernardo Silva. It's going to take a bit of brilliance again, I think, to get them back into this game. There was a chance there for Julian Alvarez from a free kick just outside the box. He took a good hit at it up and over the wall, but well saved by Dubravka. Other than that, Man City, again, dominating possession, looking to try and be patient in their play to try and get an opening in on goal. Newcastle sitting off them and just trying to look and hit the counter. 55 minutes on the clock. It's still Newcastle 2, Man City 1.
Thank you very much, Jack. And let's head straight to Germany, where a familiar face is on the pitch, Paul James.
Yes, Jadon Sancho has come on for Jamie Bino Gittins, and he's already had his first chance. He got the ball inside the penalty area, struck the shot that was blocked by Bartel Francic. And also Dortmund have added extra firepower up front with German international Marco Reus coming on, replacing German international Julian Brandt. So it is Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 1.
There'll be plenty of eyes on Jadon Sancho to see if he can regain some form after being ostracised at Manchester United. Of course, Manchester United in action tomorrow, taking on Tottenham Hotspur. What a mouth-watering game we'll be covering on Football Live tomorrow afternoon with Alex Guildford. Let's go straight back to St James's Park, where there was almost an equaliser for the visitors, Jack.
Yeah, almost a good chance there for Manchester City to try and equalise. Really, they're trying to look at anything and everything to try and get the goal at the moment. It's not coming for them, but they'll still push on. 56 minutes on the clock. It's still Newcastle 2, Man City 1.
There we go. It seems like chances will come thick and fast. Not as many as the first half as yet, but you can see it's bubbling over in this game. You would not rule out any more goals in that game. Let's just bring you up to date with the game in Serie A. Verona 2, Empoli 1 is a latest score. Zukowski pulling one back for the visitors. The home side just been reduced to 10 men. Duda getting a second yellow card, 2 yellow cards in the space of 12 minutes for him and his side down to 10 men, but we're into added time there. Just 3 additional minutes for Verona to hold on to claim all 3 points. A victory for Verona that would see them climb out of the bottom 3, and Empoli would remain reduced second from bottom. Verona would leapfrog Calgary, and just above the relegation places is things stand in Serie A. In the Asian Cup, it's still Uzbekistan 0, Syria 0. 64 minutes played in that one. Earlier on, we saw Australia beats Iran. I've forgotten already. I was so Australia beat India 2 goals to 0. I was going to say Iran. My memory just eluded me momentarily. And China played out a goalless draw against Tajikistan. Those were the two games earlier on in that game, so still goalless in the third game, Uzbekistan versus Syria. In the English Premier League, the earlier kickoff saw Chelsea win the West London derby thanks to a Cole Palmer penalty. He's become the second best under-21 player in the top 5 leagues in Europe, just behind Jude Bellingham, who has 15 goal involvements. Here's Cole Palmer with 13. Not long behind them will be Phil Foden, who got involved in that first goal. I don't know if it will go down as assist for him for Bernardo Silva's exquisite finish that gave Man City the lead. But of course, they currently trail at St James's Park. Let's go back to the game at St James's Park. It's another chance for the visitors, and we're just speaking about him, Phil Foden, and there he was with a chance.
Yeah, I think Phil Foden's definitely been the biggest threat this evening for Manchester City, and it was a decent chance there. Again, patient play for Manchester City. The ball fell to Rodri. Rodri, good interchange with Alvarez to find the ball to Foden, just on the edge of the area, finds a bit of space, goes for a low-driven shot to the bottom left-hand corner, but it was well saved by Dubravka. So City knocking at the door at the moment, but just waiting on that first clear-cut chance in the second half. 60 minutes played, it's still Newcastle 2, Man City 1.
You feel it's going to be a nervy 30 minutes if this continues as it is at St James's Park. So far, so good though, and the home fans fully behind the Magpies. Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1. Sunderland, of course, losing to Newcastle in that big derby in the FA Cup third round last weekend. They're doing well to be level with seconds in the table. Ipswich, as things stand, Jack Clark's 13th league goal of the season gave the visitors a shock lead before Caden Jackson's equaliser just before the break. Seasons all level in the English Championship as Ipswich looks to close the gap on league leaders Leicester City. I should say, actually, Ipswich were down in third place going to this game, courtesy of Southampton's thumping win earlier on this afternoon. So as it stands, Ipswich would be just 9 points behind league leaders Leicester City. They could close that gap, though, to 7 with victory today. Ipswich without a win in 5 going to this one. Could they make it 6 with just a draw at home to Sunderland today? Elsewhere in the Championship, we see Leeds United, their victory sees them keep pace with the teams looking for that automatic promotion. 51 points they are on in 4th place. Ipswich, as things stand, would be on 56 in that coveted 2nd spot. Of course, teams looking for promotion to the English Premier League. Meanwhile, let's head back to Germany. Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 1. And it's the home side that have had their first big chance of the evening, Paul.
Yes, that's right. A short corner taken and was swung in by Clemens Riedel, and a free header for Luca Pfeiffer was brilliantly saved by the feet of Dortmund goalkeeper Gregor Kobel, keeping the lead intact. It was quite a brilliant piece of improvisation with the leg, but it's still Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 1.
It's still Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 1. It was a really big chance for Manchester City to level things up at St James's Park. Free kicks the verdict. We'll hear about that very, very shortly. I can tell it's full time in the game in Serie A. Verona did hold on with 10 men to beat Empoli by 2-1. So Verona out of the bottom 3 as things stand. In Spain, La Liga, it's we're just past the hour mark. Atletico Bilbao 2, Real Sociedad 0 is a latest score. Berenguer with both goals in that one, 2 goals in 12 minutes for him. That's in the home side, impressively in the lead there. Over 51,000 in attendance in that game as well. As things stand, Atletico Bilbao would leapfrog Barcelona up to 3rd in the table, and they would be 7 points behind league leaders Real Madrid and Girona in 2nd place, both locked on 48 points. Barcelona would drop down just on goal difference. They would be on 41 points along with Atletico Bilbao. Just seeing the bench warming up. Kevin De Bruyne looks like he'll be coming on very, very shortly. Let's go and hear about that big chance though for Manchester City on the break with Jack Hesson.
Oh, what a chance for Manchester City. Really, their turn to try and hit Newcastle United on the break. Bruno Guimaraes in the middle of the park. Alvarez completely steals the ball off and hits City on the counter-attack. Alvarez advancing towards the box. He sees Walker on his right-hand side, plays the ball into Walker. Walker going towards the byline. Dubravka comes out. He's got Foden in the middle. He manages to get the pass across to Foden, but Guimaraes was there to recover from his earlier mistake and get the ball away. So almost an equaliser for Manchester City. Looking like they had a bit more purpose with that attack there than what they have done with a more patient play so far. But 64 minutes on the clock, it's still Newcastle 2, Man City 1.
Newcastle making basic errors and gifting position back to the visitors. It's very, very similar to how the game started before Newcastle exploded into life in the latter stages of that first half. It's Manchester City doing all of the pressing. Last we heard, Darmstadt were pushing together an equaliser of their own in Germany. But since then, Dortmund have come up with a chance of their own, Paul.
Yes, Darmstadt nearly punished, really, on the edge of the penalty area. Marcel Sabitzer curled a beautiful effort to the bottom right-hand corner, but Marcel Schumann, the goalkeeper for Darmstadt, made a brilliant save down to his left-hand side to keep this score at 1-0. It is Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 1.
It'd be a big victory for the away side, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But would it be their first away win in the league this season?
Be their first away win since 23rd of September when they beat Hoffenheim 3-1.
There we go. Thank you very much. I knew you'd have the stats to your fingertips there. Paul James covering the action in the Bundesliga. Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 1, a latest score. Another big chance for Manchester City at St James's Park, Jack.
Yeah, this time great save by Dubravka. Doku on the left-hand side had the ball. He played it in towards Alvarez. Alvarez had space in the box. He tried to take a touch. He takes a touch and hits it towards the left-hand corner, but Dubravka makes a good save of it. So City's certainly knocking at the door now and looking like the more likely team to score at the moment. 65 minutes played. It's still, however, Newcastle 2, Man City 1.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jack. You feel like Manchester City just knocking at the door, and the equaliser will come any moment now. Let's bring you up to date with the Eredivisie. It's Twente 1, AZ Alkmaar 1. We're 7 minutes into the second half in that game. AZ Alkmaar took the lead in the 4th minute, Odgaard with the goal, but Ugaldi equalised 3 minutes from the break to have things all level as it stands in Holland. It's half-time in the game in the Portuguese league. Chaves 0, Sporting 1 is a latest score. Sporting top of the league and looking to extend that to 4 points at the top of the table over Benfica in the early or the midway point in the Portuguese league. You are, of course, listening to Football Live.
Calling all high flyers who fancies a free flight on us. Naira Vegas are making it rain with 1 million, yes, 1 million free flights on Aviator. Claim unlimited flights with no minimum stake. The sky's the limit. Every day it will randomly rain free flights through the chat feature. Simply place your bets on Aviator and watch it rain free flights in the chat. Make sure you board the plane. You wouldn't want to miss out on a maximum multiplier of times 250,000. Full terms and conditions apply. Must click claim in the chat to be rewarded. Free flights for Aviator only. Must be 18 plus. Please play responsibly.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Liverpool 7, Manchester United 0. This is just incredible. The wheels have just fallen off the wagon.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
Oh my word, it's an absolute massive goal for Arsenal's title hopes here.
Wow, just wow.
Football Live returns to Brila FM next Saturday afternoon. Arsenal are back in action after a 2-week winter break, but will their fortunes pick up in a London derby against Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace at the Emirates Stadium? We welcome back Ivan Toney after his lengthy ban. His Brentford side take on Nottingham Forest. We'll keep a close eye on the AFCON clash between Mauritania and Angola in Bouake. Bayer Leverkusen are still unbeaten in the Bundesliga. They go to Leipzig with their unbeaten run on the line. Dean Kilford will be your host next Saturday afternoon. Football Live will be going live on Brila FM from 1:30.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brila FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Absolutely buzzing for next Saturday's show, starting with that big London derby, Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. Plenty more to come besides next week. Tomorrow, we've got that big game at Old Trafford, Manchester United versus Tottenham. Not to mention the big games in the AFCON, Egypt versus Mozambique, the Asian Cup around versus Palestine, and so much more. Those are games in the future. Let's talk about them now. Let's head back to St James's Park and a big chance for Newcastle United.
Yeah, good chance there for Newcastle United. Man City pushing numbers forward. Newcastle again trying to hit them on the break. It was Dan Burn at left back. He somehow managed to make a great run down the left-hand side. Almost got the ball into Isaac at the middle, but Ortega, to his credit, was quick to get out to it and recover. And also just to let you know about substitution as well, goal scorer Bernardo Silva is off, and Kevin De Bruyne is now on the park for his first Premier League appearance since he pulled up in that 5-0 win against against Burnley even at the start of the season, and he's about to take a free kick as well, so we'll take a look at that. 70 minutes played. It's Newcastle 2, Man City 1.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Let's just check in with our betting expert John Kane and the latest odds powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, all the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all the prices are subject to chart. I can tell you that Syria have just taken the lead to Uzbekistan. So now Uzbekistan 0, Syria 1. Syria literally, but they're about 12.0 to win. So I'm sure this odds is going to go really down. But if you had any money on Syria, you are in the money because they are leading Uzbekistan by a goal to 0, literally this second. The Manchester City against game away to Newcastle. It's still Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1. It's 20 minutes to go. Newcastle now is down to 1.91 to win the game, 3.0 for the draw, and it's 5.25 for Man City out to win. Darmstadt and Borussia Dortmund. It's Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 1. It's 26.0 for Darmstadt to turn around in the next quarter of an hour or so. The draw is 7.0 and Borussia Dortmund is 1.17 for an away win for Borussia Dortmund. Twente against Alkmaar is 1-0 in the 58th minute. It's Twente 1, AZ Alkmaar 1. Twente are 2.25 for the win. The draw is 2.40 and it's gone down to AZ Alkmaar to 5.25. I can tell you the Syrian goal has been disallowed, so it's still 0-0, but betting is right back up. It's now Uzbekistan are 3.25 for the win. The draw is 1.40 and Syria to win is 13.0 after that disallowed goal. Let's go quickly on the Manchester City game. If you're interested in the goals, if you think it's going to be over 3.5 goals, so one more goal in that game, it's 1.44. If you think it's going to be over 4.5 goals, it's 3.10. And if you're going a bit higher, over 5.5 goals, it's 7.50. Of course, all these prices are from NairaBet and it's all subject to change.
Thank you very much, John. I can tell you there has been a second goal in the Bundesliga.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's the man that seems ageless, has been there since 2012, who's got the goal. Reyes with the goal to make it Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 2. The visitors have surely secured all 3 points there, haven't they, Paul James?
Yes, absolutely. They're now in a strong position to end that barren wait for an away win in the league. It was Jadon Sancho that got down the right-hand side, pulled it across to the middle. Nobody picked up Marco Reus. He was there to tap into the empty net. It's Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 2. There's 13 minutes left here.
Brilliant stuff. It's almost like old times. Sancho's cutting down the line, pulling the ball back. They've got their Jadon Sancho back. So surely all 3 points to the visitors there. One team that were trailing earlier on in the game were Ipswich Town. Well, they've come from behind and they lead at home to Sunderland. Chaplin has scored the goal. Meanwhile, there's been a fourth goal at St James's Park.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
We spoke earlier in the show about the value of the big players. One big player's come off the bench. His name is Kevin De Bruyne, and he has levelled things up for the visitors. It's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Kevin De Bruyne with the goal to level things up for the citizens away at the Magpies. Here to tell us all about that goal is Jack Hesson.
Oh, wow, what a goal from substitute Kevin De Bruyne. Takes the ball in the middle of the park. He's got space to run towards the box. And from about 20-25 yards, he essentially passes it into Dubravka's bottom right-hand corner. It's a trademark Kevin De Bruyne finish. And it's got Manchester City right back into this game. But no more than what they've deserved for their domination in this second half. 73 minutes on the clock. It's Newcastle 2, Man City 2.
It really was quite exquisite finish on the edge of the area. Just opened up his body, cypressed it through the defender's legs into the corner. Dubravka unsighted. A brilliant finish. And no, as you say, no more than Manchester City deserve. Can they now push on and get all 3 points? The way things are going, you would not bet against it. What was it? 5.00 they were to come from behind to win. If you'd put money on that quickly, you'd be potentially well in the money, but there's a long way to go yet at St James's Park. I just want to confirm Connor Chaplin's scored that second goal for Ipswich Town. They lead Sunderland by 2-1. Guimaraes has just gone down in the box, and the way play has continued. Manchester City break at the other end. I can tell you Manchester City now 2.50 to claim all 3 points. Latest odds powered by NairaBet, of course, subject to change, and change quickly they might the way this game is going. But as it stands, Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. You heard about it from John Kane. Syria thought they'd scored. They thought they had the ball in the back of the net. It was disallowed for offside. Was the verdict. It was a tight offside call as well. Syria rank outsiders. Almost claimed all 3 points, but Uzbekistan favoured thanks to the decision from the VAR room. So still goalless in that game. As you just heard, Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 2. Rous's goal, doubling things for the visitors, surely on course for all 3 points. Victory for Dortmund. We've seen him leapfrog Eintracht Frankfurt up to 5th place in the table and just 3 points off RB Leipzig and those places in the Champions League. Of course, they're a long, long way behind league leaders Bayer Leverkusen, who currently lead the Bundesliga by 4 points from Bayern Munich, of course, do have that game in hand. Let's just go and check back into St James's Park just to see how Newcastle have responded to conceding that equalising goal, Jack.
Yeah, the game's opened up a wee bit again, I think. Newcastle trying to push forward once again. A draw's still good, but I think they would really like a win, and they know about the defensive vulnerability that they've seen in the first half against Manchester City, that there's another goal for them in this game should they try and take it. But this is a different Manchester City team now. Kevin De Bruyne has came on, one of their star players, one of the players who can make something out of absolutely nothing. That's what he done for the goal. That's what Bernardo Silva done for the first goal, and that's how Manchester City are really still in this game at the moment. It's been a bit of magic in both goals to keep them in the game, and at the moment it's still 76 minutes played. Newcastle 2, Man City 2.
You wouldn't bet that being the full-time score in this game, but it is level as things stand, a point apiece. Potentially that is a good point for Newcastle United going into this game, but certainly not having taken the lead in this one. There have been a couple of changes for Dortmund, a couple of subs. Fulkrug has come on for Moukoko. Fulkrug has come off and Moukoko was on. Is that correct, Paul?
That is correct. Fulkrug, it's not really been his day today. He's been taken off today, and young starlet Youssoufa Moukoko has come on to see if he can add to his goals this season. Score is still Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 2.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. Bringing us up to date with all things going on in the Bundesliga right now. Of course, the African Cup of Nations kicks off in just under 50 minutes' time. The Ivory Coast certainly favourites for that game. But it's a big, big game coming up on Football Live in the English Premier League tomorrow. Manchester United take on Tottenham Hotspur. It's got the air of the greats about it. It's Erik ten Hag under pressure against Ange Postecoglou, the current darling of managers in the English Premier League. We were able to catch up with both managers ahead of this one. And here is what Erik ten Hag had to say ahead of that big, big game at Old Trafford tomorrow afternoon.
I think it's a really big compliment, the way they played. So he changed the environment there. They play really proactive. It's very enjoyable to watch them with a lot of dynamics, very proactive. And they combine it with good results. But also when we play them over there, and I think that is what we can take. We can take belief out of that. That in the first, I would say, especially 35 minutes, we dominate them, and we should have goal in the lead, but we didn't. And so we have to make our own luck, and we have to take control of the game, and then we have to finish the chances.
Well, they will certainly have to finish their chances in that game because they'll be up against a Tottenham Hotspur team that have lost, of course, a lot of key players to the African Cup of Nations, not to mention their lengthy injury list as well. So maybe this is a good time for Erik ten Hag and Manchester United to take on this Tottenham Hotspur team. We've caught up with Ange Postecoglou. Of course, they've been busy in the transfer window. The players in the transfer window, very un-Tottenham-like, signing Timo Werner on loan. And, of course, Radu Dragusin, the Romanian international. And here's what the Tottenham manager had to say upon this latest signing.
You obviously have made a couple of signings this week, nice and early as you wanted in the window. Radu Dragusin, we've seen the clips, we've seen the sort of stats, but what do you like about him, particularly, as a player, but also as a person? How will he fit into what you're trying to do here?
Yeah, look, obviously we knew that sort of that position was a priority position for us. going into the January window, we kind of went through the first half of the year. We let sort of Davis and Sanchez go after the window closed, so we kind of knew that if the right opportunity came in January, that we had to sort of try and bring somebody in, and so we did a fair bit of work on it, and once we got sort of closer to the time where we had to make a decision about which way to go, Johan and his team sort of did a lot of background work on it, and I think he's just a good fit for us from a football perspective. Certainly he has some great attributes as a young player, and after my chats with him, obviously as a person as well, I think he's come here sort of with the right motivations about why he wants to make the next step and why Tottenham's the right club for him. So I think he'll fit in really well with the group we've got here at the moment.
Indeed, Dragusin is sure to be a firm favourite. It's some very impressive stats from his time in Genoa. The Romanian international is a very hard-working individual, and he'll slot straight into that backline, we imagine, tomorrow, considering the injuries that they have at the back. Ben Davies added to that long injury list coming into that game tomorrow afternoon. Alex Guildford and the team will be bringing you all the action from Old Trafford as it happens. Just going to switch gears. In fact, I'm just going to tell you about another goal in the Eredivisie. Twente have taken the lead against AZ Alkmaar. AZ Alkmaar took the lead, remember, way back in the 4th minute. We're now 20 minutes from time, and Ugaldi has turned things around for the home side, his second of the afternoon. So it is 22. AZ Alkmaar 1. That's the latest score there. I just want to change track ever so slightly and just talk about Sven-Göran Eriksson, former England manager, Lazio and many other clubs as well. A very successful career he's had. He had some really unfortunate news that he's struck down with terminal ill cancer this past week. And he's been known as a Liverpool fan all his life, and some Liverpool fans have called on the club to enable Sven-Göran Eriksson to realise his unfulfilled wish to manage the team. Not the Liverpool first team. Jurgen Klopp's job is safe for now, at least, but it's to take charge of the Liverpool Legends side in a friendly. And it seems to be quite a romantic idea to allow Sven-Göran Eriksson to lead the Liverpool Legends out for one game at least, as part of his well, I don't say goodbyes. It sounds very somber, but as part of his remaining time left with us. So Sven-Göran Eriksson, we wish you all the best here on Football Live, and hope that your remaining days, months ahead are as safe and comfortable as they can be. Switching gears, let's go back to the league, the Portuguese league. Sporting have doubled their league. Trincao has scored just after the restart. Chaves 0, Sporting 2 is the latest score. Let's go to St James's Park. There's been a couple more changes for the visitors, Jack.
Yeah, substitution for Manchester City. Jeremy Doku, the Belgian, playing at left wing for this game. He's off. He's had a relatively difficult game to get into. He's been up against a stringent Kieran Trippier, who's defended him well, and generally he's been dealt with by the Newcastle United defence. He comes off. Rico Lewis, 19-year-old, comes on. He's just got one Premier League goal this season, but he would love a second to give City the lead. Today it's 84 minutes on the clock. It's still Newcastle 2, Man City 2.
Thank you very much, Jack. Let's check back into Germany just to see how Dortmund, are they just seeing out the remaining minutes in this one, Paul?
Yes, you just joined us after just substitutions were made by Dortmund. 2 substitutions. Giovanni Reina and Nicolas Sula have come on for Schlotterbeck, and Daniel Malin are the 2 changes. Marco Reus has just come close with a chance on the left-hand side, but forced a decent save out of Marcel Schumann. It's still Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 2.
We're into the final minutes of that game. Injury time to be added. We'll let you know as soon as we know here on Football Live. We're to the final 3 minutes in La Liga. Atletico Bilbao still lead Real Sociedad by 2-0. We're into injury time in the Asian Cup. Uzbekistan 0, Syria 0. Still a latest score in that game. In the English Championship. Ipswich 2, Sunderland 1. We're into the final 2 minutes of that game. We're into the final 5 minutes at St James's Park as Anthony Gordon is making his way off the pitch. He scored that spectacular second goal, of course, to give Newcastle the lead. Paul has come on in his place, the youngster, with the last 5 minutes or so remaining in that game. Twente 2, AZ Alkmaar 1 is the latest score, about 15 minutes to go in that one. And as you just heard, Chavez 0, Sporting 2, 10 minutes into the second half in that game. Earlier on Football Live, we had 3 featured game. The very first goal in the Premier League came from Cole Palmer from the penalty spot. Cool, calm and collected. His 5th penalty scored since joining Chelsea. Chelsea awarded 8 penalties this season. That's more than any other team, or level with Arsenal, who have also been awarded 8 penalties this season. Chelsea held on to get all 3 points despite Fulham's best efforts in that second half. I can tell you that Real Sociedad have pulled a goal back in the game against Atletico Bilbao. This is a VAR check on that goal. So as it stands, Real Sociedad think they pulled a late goal back. We will keep you up to date to see whether that goal stands or not. We're into the second minute of added time in Germany. Still Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 2. Or I believe the ball has hit the back of the net for the 3rd time.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And the gloss has been added. Dortmund have a 3rd goal and a commanding lead, and all 3 points to go with all 3 goals they've scored deep into added time. It's Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 3 in that one. We'll go and join Paul James very, very short to hear details of that goal. Meanwhile, I'm going to tell you about a 3rd goal in the Portuguese league. Chavez 0, Sporting 3 now is a latest score. Gonçalves with the goal to add to Trinsal's and Paulinho's earlier efforts. It really is a comfortable afternoon or comfortable evening for the league leaders in Portugal. I can tell you Real Sociedad's goal has stood in that game. So let's go Bilbao 2, Real Sociedad 1. Oyarzabal with the goal. It could be too little too late. That goal coming in the 90th minute. There will be a few minutes added for stoppage time in that game. So it very much is game on. Let's go back to St James's Park momentarily to hear how Newcastle are holding on against Manchester City.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Hall is now on for Anthony Gordon. It suggests a change of shape for Newcastle, probably going a bit more defensive to try and hold on to this draw. Eddie Howe has never lost 2 consecutive Premier League games as Newcastle at home as Newcastle United manager. He certainly won't want to slip from any potential points that he could have picked up today, and they're definitely showing up now, Newcastle, to go for the point. City still dominating possession at the moment, but Newcastle are making it difficult for them to try and get the winner. 87 minutes on the clock. It's Newcastle 2, Man City 2.
Brilliant stuff. Let's go and hear about that 3rd goal in Germany with Paul James.
Yes, game, set and match. Borussia Dortmund. The misery continues for Darmstadt. It was a brilliant goal played. The ball was played through by Sabitzer to Yusufo Makoko, who turned Christoph Clara inside out and drilled the ball, hits the underside of the bar and goes in to wrap up the points for Dortmund. Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 3.
That is the 44th goal that Darmstadt have conceded this season, by far and away the most in that league. The next closest would be Borussia Mönchengladbach, who conceded 35, but they are comfortably in mid-table. Darmstadt, their defence needs some work, and that's being polite. I can tell you that Uzbekistan 0, Syria 0 is a full-time score. Goals hard to come by in the Asian Cup. So that point, though, is a good point, but it sees them 2 points behind Australia, who won the earlier game against India by 2-0. In Group A earlier on, of course, Qatar beat Lebanon yesterday by 3-0. And earlier on today, China and Tajikistan played out a goalless draw. That Asian Cup continues, of course, over the coming weeks. There's going to be 6 minutes of added time in La Liga, the game between Atletico Bilbao and Real Sociedad. Real Sociedad pushing hard for an equaliser. as are Sunderland. We're into the 3rd minute of added time in that game. Ipswich 2, Sunderland 1. Ipswich looking to close the gap at the top of the Championship to just 7 points on league leaders Leicester City, and their first win in 6 for the home side as well. We're into 5 minutes of injury time there. 3 of them have been played. There's 3 minutes of added time to be played at St James's Park, and it's a big chance, and it's a big goal.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
I gave you the stat about Manchester City. They've been behind in the Premier League at half-time on 4 previous occasions. They've come back to win 3 of them. Well, now we can say they've come back to win 4. It's Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 3. And it's the young substitute who has got the away fans in raptures high up in the stands at St James's Park. Kieran Trippier dead on his feet. But it's Manchester City that are surely going to claim all 3 points. And they're doing exactly what Manchester City do. They turn on the style. Once it comes past Christmas, they go on a run and they score goals and get the points. It's Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 3, a result that would see Manchester City go up to 2nd in the table, just 2 points behind league leaders Liverpool. Let's go and hear about that goal from Jack Hesson.
Well, what a way to get your first Manchester City goal for Norwegian Oscar Bob, just 20 years of age, came off the bench, and he gets on the end of a fantastic Kevin De Bruyne ball all the way across from the middle of the park. He spots Bob's run, beats the Newcastle United defence, gets in behind. Bob takes a touch, takes it around Dubravka and puts it into the back of the net, and should now give Manchester City all 3 points at St James's Park. 92 minutes on the clock. It's Newcastle 2, Man City 3.
Jack, let's just talk about that footwork from Bob. Unbelievable. Just the way he just took that in his stride, one touch, and then shifted. The keeper was left dead on the floor.
Yeah, excellent. I don't think Dubravka judged it well at all there. I didn't expect, I think, Bob to make such a good first touch of that, to get it past him and then leave himself with an easy shot on target as well. He was under pressure from the Newcastle United left back, who almost got into, almost fouled him as well in the build-up to that. But yeah, excellent footwork there for your first Manchester City goal. What a time to get it, and what a big 3 points this is for Man City.
And what a big player Kevin De Bruyne is for Manchester City. He's come off the bench to score the equaliser and set up the winner, and it was an exquisite ball to set up Bob for his very first Manchester City goal. There were just shouts of a potential penalty for Newcastle. VAR did have a check on it. It was waved away. It was checked very quickly. Play has resumed. Newcastle have a matter of seconds to try and find an equaliser in this one. Manchester City 3. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 3, and things are just boiling over. Hall and De Bruyne getting involved in the tussle right down by the corner flag. It's finished in the English Championship. Ipswich Town 2, Sunderland 1. It's finished in Germany. Darmstadt 0, Dortmund 3. Let's go and hear about the full-time report with Paul James.
Yes, finally the barren run ends for Borussia Dortmund. 3-0. Goals on the 23rd minute by Julian Brandt. Marco Reus had his 4th of the season in the Bundesliga on 76, before Yusuf Moukoko put the cherry on the cake on the 91st minute. It really was a superb performance by Borussia Dortmund. They really could have had 4 or 5, but Yusuf Moukoko came off the bench, and so did Marco Reus. Jadon Sancho got an assist on Marco Reus's goal. Finally finish up Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 3.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Paul. A big 3 points for the visitors there. And another bad afternoon for Darmstadt, rock bottom of the Bundesliga. The full-time whistle has gone at St James's Park. Manchester City have come from behind. A late winner from an unlikely source has given them all 3 points. Jack Hesson, how do you describe that one?
Well, what a game of football. Manchester City snatching it at the end. It was really all the Kevin De Bruyne show. Him coming on in the second half just made all the difference. From that first goal in the game from Bernardo Silva, excellent goal. And then Newcastle coming right back into the game with Gordon and Isaac's goals. It really did look like Newcastle could have seen it out in the second half, particularly with their home defensive record of conceding just 7 goals coming in to this game. But Kevin De Bruyne coming on within minutes, that first time, or that finish from outside the box in the bottom right hand corner to beat Dubravka, gave Man City the momentum, and then Oscar Bob Not off the back of a Kevin De Bruyne excellent pass. Great touch from Bob, past Dubravka to make it 3-2 and give Man City all 3 points here. Newcastle now 4 straight losses on the trot. Man City going within 2 points of Liverpool. An excellent game at St James's Park. Full time, Newcastle 2, Man City 3.
Well, the celebrations are real for the visitors at St James's Park. Pep Guardiola is coming over and giving the biggest hug to this youngster, Oscar Bob, and high fives going on around. Manchester City up to second in the Premier League table. Big games, big scores here this afternoon on Football Live. Chelsea 1, Fulham 0, Newcastle 2, Manchester City 3, as you heard in the English Premier League. In the Championship, Coventry City came from behind to beat Leicester City by 3-1. In the Bundesliga, as you just heard, Darmstadt 0, Borussia Dortmund 3, and in La Liga, we covered Las Palmas 3, Villarreal 0. It's been a brilliant afternoon in a strange two-part version of Football Live, but we've enjoyed it all the same. We hope you enjoyed the start of the African Cup of Nations. Ivory Coast take on Guinea-Bissau in just under half an hour's time. Alex Guilford and the team will join you and take you through tomorrow's action all around the world. You've been listening to Dean Guilford. You've been listening to Football Live.
You have been listening to Football Live, exclusive to Brula FM, sponsored by NairaBet.